A pleasant good evening and welcome to the Wolverena, the Turtle Creek Stadium, home of the Woodland Hills Wolverines. We welcome you aboard on the Trib Live High School Sports Network as well as on Facebook. Adam Gusky, Vince Russo on the call for you as the Gateway Gators take on the Woodland Hills Wolverines in a Big East Conference matchup. Woodland Hills 4-1 on the year, coming off of a 32-13 victory against Franklin Regional in Big East Conference play. Meanwhile, Gateway hasn't played in quite a while. The last time they played was in Monroeville, a 55-14 victory over Bethel Park. Gateway 2-0 on the year. And Vince, one thing that it has to be the story for the Gateway Gators is, are they rusty and are they ready for the most athletic quarterback they've seen this season?
Yeah, we talked about this a lot off air, and I thought, Rick down on the sidelines brought up a really good point of, these guys are 16 to 18 years old. They're in great shape. They're going to be able to shake that off pretty quickly, but, they haven't seen things at game speed in quite a while, so I wouldn't be surprised if Woodland Hills gets a quick punch in there, maybe scores early, because they just haven't seen that speed, and you talk about Deontay Williams. Yeah, that's a tough quarterback to go up against fresh out of the gate, not having played for 3 weeks, because he's going to bring it, and he's got a lot of speed.
Now, one thing about the rust factor that I think does play into Gateway's advantage is at least they were able to get 10 days of practice in. They had a full week's worth of practice preparing for last Sunday's game against Penn Trafford that was canceled because of COVID-related illnesses at Penn Trafford. And then, of course, the 2 weeks prior, Gateway missing games and school as well because of issues with COVID at Gateway School District. So, like we said, Gateway has been out of the mix for a couple of weeks. We've got to see if, number one, that fast and speedy offense can get rolling, and number two, if that defense is ready to play like they did through the first 2 weeks, where they really didn't allow any touchdowns by the opposing teams until late in football games.
Right, and at that point, they didn't have the starters in. You're getting some younger guys some playing time. I'm actually most interested to see the third facet of the game, special teams. That was really the one area where Gateway had some room to improve. You saw that they had issues on the kick coverage. In both games, they allowed long returns that enabled good field position. And, this Wolverines team is going to have some speedsters back there bringing the ball up the field. So they're going to have to get down there and form tackle, break down, make sure that they don't get out of their lanes. And on the other side, the kicking game, we saw a blocked extra point in the last game and some poor execution overall. So looks like we have some extracurriculars happening before this one. Looks like both teams are chomping at the bit to get ready for this one.
Yeah, Woodland Hills and Gateway, they haven't played each other in a very long time, and by far the closest rivalry for either of these teams. Quite frankly, you head up the road to our left-hand side and you're in Monroeville within a minute or two if you're walking. So you're in Gateway School District. So it really is going to be an interesting matchup. These two teams haven't played each other in a long time, but there really is that hidden vigorish between these two teams that has been building over the years, and they haven't played in a very, very long time.
And I really appreciate that the WPIAL focused in their realignment on bringing some of these local rivalries back. You saw Woodland Hills played Penn Hills earlier this season. That was non-conference, but it's nice to see the efforts to get those local games back on the schedule because it just adds so much excitement for the community. And, we've heard a lot of people talk about it's not uncommon for these guys to know each other, even if they're in different school districts, playing for different travel teams in different sports or just being around in the same communities. It's interesting to see them be able to translate that onto competition onto the field.
Let's send it down to the sideline. Rick McIntyre, what's it feeling like down there along the sidelines as the Gators get ready to take on the Wolverines?
Yeah, as Vince mentioned, the near extracurricular activities there, both teams kind of took the field vigorously, I think as he put it, and they kind of met right there at the midfield, right at the big WH. And as they were getting closer, I saw all the officials and half the coaching staff kind of getting a little bit alert and getting in between them, but looked like a little bit of good, clean enthusiasm. I think both sides are pretty pumped up. Gateway, I know, has been really, really dying to get out there and play. So looking forward to seeing a real exciting contest here with a lot of good athletes on this field.
This is going to be a whale of a football game with athletes on both sides, and it feels special, and there's something extra about being out with the crowd here in Turtle Creek, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, great atmosphere and ambiance between both of these sidelines. Limited capacity, but still a lot of noise.
Yeah, limited crowds, but still a lot of enthusiastic folks. As the end-over-end kick will carry to the 15-yard line, and whistles blow as Wayne Mattis So Woodland Hills was offside, so the Wolverines are going to be forced to re-kick. And, obviously the Wolverines are pretty excited for this one, as are the Gateway Gators. And like I said, certainly far from capacity crowds, obviously limitations for the crowds because of, COVID-19. However, enthusiastic folks on both sides of the field to see the Wolverines take on the Gators for the first time in a long time.
Well, I think being able to be back in here, it makes you appreciate it a little more after not having it for a little while.
And we are officially underway in Turtle Creek, PA, as it will be Shamar Price on the return for Woodland Hills, just shy of the 25-yard line, trying to shake off a Wolverine on that far sideline to no avail. And the tackle will be made by Desmond Jackson, the senior linebacker for Woodland Hills.
Yeah, and a few more words being exchanged there down on the sidelines. Good job there by the Wolverines, streaming down the field quickly. That was a short kick and gave an opportunity for them to get upfield quickly, but the Wolverines, good job tracking that one down.
Ball will be placed on the right hash as the Gators go right to left across your computer screen. Two receivers left, one to the far side right. Angle K in the shotgun now looks the nearest sideline. And flags will fly as Woodland Hills guilty of a false start.
Before the snap, false start. Offense, 5 yards. First down.
Yeah, Price just getting a little ahead of himself there. Not uncommon. You talk about this team had 3 weeks off. They might have a couple of those here early in the first quarter. Not surprising to see.
Angle K rolling right, pitches it, and it will go out of bounds. A couple yards shy of the line of scrimmage, and again pushing and shoving as Patrick Bodie getting into it with a Wolverine, and that's Armani Bailey, I think, who got into it with there. Maybe it was Taylon Brooks.
I think it might have been Brooks. Wow, big hit there in the backfield on Davis. The pitch. I'm not sure that the potential ball carrier Bodie there on the outside was really prepared for that one. Thought that Angle K was going to keep that one upfield.
Two receivers left, one to the far side right. Angle K off of play action. Throws it off to Price to the near side where Armani Bailey will wrap him up. Pick up on that play of about 3 yards. Brings up third down and a dozen.
Yeah, they read that one well. Gateway's had some really good luck through their first 2 games with that bubble screen, and it looked like they had it set up there. You see a couple blockers there getting ready to go downfield, but a good job there streaming in by Bailey and a good form tackle able to hang on, bring him down for a pretty marginal gain. Brings up a 3rd and long now.
Gateway in the shotgun. 2 receivers wide right, one to the near side left. Angle K setting up the screen, throwing it near side. Davis, he's got the first down and more with blockers out in front of him. A big convoy, and Davis finally will be wrapped and brought down inside of Woodland Hills territory.
Yeah, when all else fails, you give it to that guy, Derek Davis. He's averaging 13 yards a carry on the ground, and he has been an elite receiver in his time at Gateway as well. He shows it there. Just a simple screen to the left, rather, and it didn't even matter that Woodland Hills knew that was coming because he just is so hard to stop.
Great blocking out in front of Davis, including Jacques Taylor, the left tackle. Angle K in the shotgun, and the receivers on the right side for the Gators move early.
False start. Offense, 5 yards. First down.
And that's twice where we see Gateway move early on long counts by Angle K.
Yeah, you're a receiver out there. You just got to watch the ball. You don't move until the ball moves. And again, I know they've been off 3 weeks, but those are small things that this team, which has shown a great deal of discipline early in the season, just got to be better about those things.
2 receivers right again. Angle K, he's going to hand off Davis with a crease inside of the 45 and brought down around the 43-yard line. Tackle on the play by Dante Dutrell. Also involved in the tackle, Brandon Jones. Jones, his 2nd tackle of the game. He also made the stop on Davis on the screen pass.
I like the strategy of feeding the ball to Davis here. See if they continue to do that. Set the tone early, be physical. The Wolverines are chatting it up down there, talking a lot of smack. Throw your best asset at him.
Engelke looking left, and the pass well too high as he's looking for Jaden Hurt over that left-hand side, and that'll bring up third down and about 7.
It looked like they had Price wide open on the backside post there, but that was a tough one there. He's going to have to really put that into a window if he was going to complete that one. 3 Wolverines in the area. Again, see if they go back to Davis here on third down to try and keep this drive going. They're not quite in field goal range yet.
2 receivers right, 1 to the near side left again. Engelke going to throw it off to Davis. The pass is high, but Davis pulls it in. He's spun around and will be brought down shy of the line of scrimmage. And Woodland Hills all over that one. Davis not much room to run to that far side as Armani Bailey involved in the tackle.
Yeah, good job of gang tackling there. How do you get a guy like Davis to the ground? You bring multiple guys to the party. And, you know, the first person that makes contact is very rarely going to be able to take him down. And you see just more and more Wolverines coming over. Bailey wrapping up initially, but look, it took the third Wolverine to finally bring him to the ground. He's just so elusive.
Gateway not lined up properly for this 4th down play as the clock winds here in the first quarter. And Engelke with the pooch punt, and this one will be caught around the 30-yard line by the Wolverine safety, and Woodland Hills able to carry that ball out towards the 40-yard line before the Gators shove him back. Hunter Dow, the offensive lineman, gets involved in that tackle. Dow also plays along the defensive front for Gateway.
It was an interesting call there. I mean, you don't have your punt protection team there, so your offense, which is in a different formation, has got to have some different personnel there. They've got to kind of act as your punt team, and that was a low-line drive, almost a big return there.
So it was Deontay Williams on the return, and now we will see him as he runs the quarterback for the Wolverines in their home black uniforms. Shotgun with the sidecar to the left-hand side of Williams. Hard count, high snap. He'll hand off and a crease up the middle, and the ball carrier is Eris Siebels, and Siebels is brought down as he carries it out towards the 45-yard line.
Yeah, Sables and Williams both with about 300 yards on the ground. Both of them big-time threats to carry the ball. So you run that option there, and you really keep that defense on their toes because both of those guys can get it done.
Pistol formation as the Wolverines going to go to the ground, and it's Siebels, the ball carrier. Nowhere to go this time as the Gators are all over him. Looks like the ball was ripped out, but the officials going to talk things over and say it's going to stay with Woodland Hills at this point.
It'll be really interesting to see this battle in the trenches. Woodland Hills has more size than Bethel, Parker, Franklin Regional. So big test for Gateway, but they have just manhandled teams at the line of scrimmage thus far on both sides of the ball this year, but especially on defense.
Williams in the shotgun, hands off. Siebels trying to elude a tackler as he crosses the line of scrimmage. Takes it out towards the midfield stripe before he's finally brought down.
Looks like
it's a first down for the Wolverines.
Coming up a little limp there. He's going to check out. Not sure if he got his ankle twisted or someone rolled up on him as he went to the ground. You see one of the Gators kind of grabbed him there for a second as he spun around and getting that first down.
2 receivers left, double tight formation. Williams rolls to the left, has some late pressure, throws and finds Armani Bailey wide open on that far sideline. And a first down for Woodland Hills inside of the Gators 30 at the 28-yard line.
Yeah, Bonzi Parks just unable to keep up with the speed of Bailey. And, we've seen these outside threats at receiver for Woodland Hills, and that's the main thing that they bring to the table is speed. You've got Bailey and Tariq Scipio averaging over 20 yards a reception, so they can just get down the field and extend what the offense is able to do so easily.
Looks like a broken play. Deontay Williams pulled it out of the belly of Siebels, and he had nowhere to go. Patrick Bodie, Jacques Taylor and a couple of other white jerseys were in there. Also involved in the tackle was Hunter Dow. And the officials have to step in again as a lot of jawing between these two teams after that 2-yard loss by the Wolverines.
It's going to be interesting. You know, Woodland Hills has been so good, especially Williams at quarterback, of taking those broken plays and making big splash plays out of them. But this is a disciplined and athletic Gateway defense, unlike probably anything that Woodland Hills has seen this season.
2 receivers set. Gap over right tackle for the ball carrier, Air Seibels. And Seibels brought down after he picks up gain of about 7 on that play from the 30 to the 23, and it's 3rd down and a handful.
Yeah, it makes this a much more manageable 3rd down. You see it's a nice burst of speed, hits the hole hard, keeps the legs churning. That was nice.
Seibels running left. He's wrapped, and he is pulled back by Diego Bledsoe. Nowhere to go, and it's 4th down for the Woodland Hills Wolverines.
And this very likely is, it looks like they're keeping the offense on the field. 4-down territory for a team that doesn't really utilize the kicking game for points. It's a team that goes primarily for 2-point conversions. Not surprising to see them go for it here, just outside of their own red zone.
4th and 4 with the ball just inside the 22-yard line. Line to gain right around the 18, pistol formation. Play action. Williams rolling right, throwing it into the end zone, incomplete. Turnover on downs, and it's going to be Gateway football as neither team able to capitalize after moving the ball into opponent's territory.
Yeah, flashes from each of these athletes, but the defense is so far the story in the first quarter. Bend, not break. I like the naked boot there, the play action, and put the ball where only his receiver could get it, but just not enough speed. Question is, was there a little tug there? But they're going to let both of them play. Shane Thrift able to come up with a nice defensive stop. Tariq Scipio just a little overthrown there by Williams.
So 1st and 10 for Gateway with the ball on the right hash at the 22 as they come straight from the sideline to the line of scrimmage. Trips lined up left, one to the far boundary right. Angle K going to hand off. Derek Davis stays on his feet till he gets to around the 25-yard line. They'll mark him down at the 24, though. I don't think he was down until that forearm went down near the 25.
Yeah, it looked like he was able to maintain his balance, but unfortunately they saw what they saw. Whistles blown. See if they're able to break one this time. I like the idea of breaking a 4-receiver set out and allowing Davis to have some room inside, kind of pulling that front 7 apart a little bit.
Play action. Ball to Shamor Price. Oh, it was right in his hands as he had 2 steps beyond the defender at the 50-yard line, but wasn't able to pull it in. And the incomplete pass brings up 3rd down and about 8.
Yeah, he had that, and he had a lot of greenery in front of him. Just one of those cases of thinking about getting to the end zone before you've got the ball securely in your hands. You got to look it in, keep the eyes on it the whole way in. Price is going to want that one back. That's going to keep him up tonight, but hopefully he's able to rebound, get another crack at one here later in the game.
Twins to either side as Angle K. Setting up the screen to Davis. He has blockers. He has the 1st down as he carries it out across the 35 to around the 36-yard line where it's 1st and 10 for the Gators.
Again, just such an asset to have. You know, 2 third and longs in a row on back-to-back drives. They just get the ball into Davis's hand, allow him to do special things. Again, a good job of receivers getting downfield, blocking, not getting those hands on the outside, but laying secure blocks and not holding. And that's able to keep this drive extended.
Trips right. Angle K hands off. Nowhere for Davis to go as he is met in the backfield and brought down a hair shy of the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, for as well as this offensive line has been playing thus far for Gateway, maybe they're the ones that are showing a little rust here early on because they're just not getting a push whatsoever.
John Edmondson came around right end and made that stop about a half yard into the backfield, bringing up 2nd down and nearly 11. Again, trips right. for the Gators. And some movement on the defensive front this time.
Before the snap, encroachment, defense, 5 yards.
Penalties were a big-time killer last year for the Wolverines. 7.7 penalties a game. Many of them were linemen jumping on both sides of the ball, whether it be false starts or encroachment penalties. So not surprising to see some of that here early on.
Angle K setting up the screen again to Davis. He has a crease. He's across the 40, the 45, the 50. Still on his feet at the 40. Shoved towards the boundary and finally brought down near the 30-yard line. And a big turn of fortune for the Gators as they switch the field.
Just an absolute men among boys there. And I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They just keep swinging the ball out, giving it to Davis, and daring the Wolverines to come up and challenge him. And they're losing that battle thus far. Davis is just such an athlete.
Well, getting him the ball in space is just a dangerous thing for defenders.
Look at that stiff arm. My goodness.
Trips right, one receiver left again as Angle K claps his hands, and he's going to run the option. Pitches to Davis. Davis met in the backfield and will try to surge his way back to the line of scrimmage around the 30-yard line, but the ball will be marked just shy of the line near the 31, maybe the 32.
And it just seems like it's back and forth. One play, the Wolverines are able to get a stop in the backfield. The next, they're getting gashed down the field on a screen play. Got to find some consistency there on defense, because right now, I mean, they're playing a dangerous game if they're only able to really hold them to short gains on every other play.
Kelvin Nelson is in there as the tailback for the Gators this time, and he's going to take play action. Now the ball goes to the right-hand side. Shamar Price has a blocker in front of him. Sidesteps a Wolverine at the 20. Finally forced out of bounds around the 10-yard line, but a flag comes in, and there may have been holding from one of those black blockers out in front of Shamar Price. It may have been Bodie, the guilty party. If not, it was Shane Thrift. Checking with our referee, Wayne Mattis.
Holding. Offense, number 4. 10-yard, spotted flag, second down.
Well, you always get the numbers at the high school level, but that time Patrick Bodie was the guilty party. So basically, since the penalty happened 10 yards down the field, and it's 10 yards from the spot of the foul, brings up second down and 10, basically replay the down.
Yeah, get another crack at it and see if they continue to get that ball out wide to their playmakers. It's worked thus far for them on just about every play.
Trips left this time. Angle K off the play action, has lots of time. Throws left. The pass will be intercepted at around the 5-yard line. Leaping up and grabbing it for Gateway, or rather for Woodland Hills, is Gavin Yarborough. That pass off the mark by Angle K as he was looking for Price. And Price had to become a D-back.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about the call on that one. I mean, Angle K doesn't really seem like he's been in much of a rhythm, and I know you can only get there if you give him the chance to go downfield with it. But on the same token, 0-0 game, keep giving that ball to Davis in space. Let him go to work. Make this easier than what you have thus far.
So that's going to set Woodland Hills up first down and 10 at the 5-yard line, with 3:24 to play here in the first quarter.
Yeah, the Wolverines need to be careful here. This defense is going to pin their ears back.
Woodland Hills goes to the ground, and there's a gap for a moment. Brandon Jones that time the ball carrier for Woodland Hills.
That's exactly the execution you want to see on first down. Now that opens the playbook up a little bit. You're not quite in a complete shadow of your own end zone. You have an ability as a quarterback to drop back a little bit, get the ball out quickly, see if they go to the air here on second down, or if they keep going with that ground game. It's been somewhat effective for them thus far.
Jones still the tailback next to Williams. Williams going to keep it himself, running left, has a crease into open field. He's running to the near side right. Couple of Gators with speed going to be able to keep him to the near boundary and prevent him from scoring a touchdown. Shane Thrift, though, making that stop not before Deontay Williams turns the tables for the Wolverines, as they were in the shadow of their own end zone. Now they're inside of Gateway territory at the 32.
Almost seems like he got faster for this year from last year. I mean, that breakaway speed we talked about, we saw Davis turn on the Jets back against Bethel Park, but wow, this time it's Deontay Williams who's absolutely able to just turn on the jets and almost outruns everyone. Looks like we got a timeout here down on the field. Gators need to regroup and think about how they're going to stop Williams.
Now let's send it down to the sideline. Rick McIntyre first. Let's talk about what Gateway's not able to do offensively in the running game. Conversely, what Woodland Hills has been able to do in the trenches running that football.
Well, I think it's something we commented on before the game started here, is the size advantage Woodland Hills has looking up front, defensively and offensively. They seem to just be controlling that line of scrimmage. A couple times, like Vince said, you see a nice splash play here, splash play there, but from both lines, controlling the line. Gateway will get them behind the line of scrimmage. A lot of that's just coming from a good scheme call and catching Woodland Hills off out of position. So maybe look for a little bit more of that and keep grinding away and see if we can get those big boys to slow down by the third quarter.
Well, Rick, one thing that I think is notable is that Woodland Hills from a season ago has offensive and defensive linemen that are not just big, but they're much leaner. They seem much more athletic, much more along the lines of what we see from some of the bigger guys at Gateway as opposed to what we've seen in the past few seasons.
Oh, I couldn't agree more, Adam. They're a little bit leaner. They still got some haunch on them. There's some big hosses out there, but they're firing off the ball. They're coming out low. They're coming out fast. A lot better than we'd seen in the previous years.
Send it back to the sideline. Deontay Williams in the shotgun. He's going to hand off to Brandon Jones, and Jones is going to shove his way forward inside of the 30 to around the 29-yard line. So a pickup of about 3 yards brings up 2nd down and 7.
Yeah, and continuing on with what Rick said, I mean, you haven't really seen Gateway accomplish anything going north to south offensively with the ball, getting it to Davis. No quarterback keepers thus far. They have controlled the line of scrimmage to where everything's had to go to the outside, and you create more risk out there having to sling the ball around like that, as we saw with the interception.
Shotgun again, and movement early as the right guard started pulling
False
left.
start. Offense. 5 yards. 2nd down.
So that's going to push Woodland Hills back 5 yards and bring up 2nd down at about 11. As clock winds under 2 minutes to go here in quarter number 1. Chilly evening in western Pennsylvania. Saturday night football. It's Gateway in action for the first time in over 3 weeks. As Deontay Williams has nowhere to go as Diego Bledsoe came on the blitz and was in the lap of Williams before he was able to even think about running the football.
And Diego Bledsoe gets a hold of you. You're not going anywhere. Only 5'10", but 230 pounds of pure muscle. And he just gets an arm around him and pulls him down to the ground. My goodness.
Loss of about 4 on the play brings up 3rd down and about 14. As Williams rolls to his left, feels pressure, now has to tuck and run, picking up positive yardage inside of the original line of scrimmage on this set of downs. He'll finally be brought down at around the 29 inside of the 30.
And, assuming once again that they're going to keep the offense out here, as it looks like they're going to. It's a team that really anytime you're within the 35 is probably going to be a 4-down team with not much of a kicking game. You'll take that on 3rd down because now it creates a 4th and manageable. Still a little long, but you don't have to really heave the ball downfield. If Deontay Williams is able to find a little space, he can even pull down the ball. You just have a lot more options here on what you can do from a play calling standpoint.
Pistol formation, receiver split to either side as Williams going to roll to his right. Sets his feet, now starts to step out again, and the pass is, intercepted, or will they say incomplete? Jaden Hurt leaped up, had the ball in his hands, and then as he came down with it, it went down to the turf, and that may actually benefit Gateway because
better to not catch it.
It would set them up at the 29.
Offense. Penalty. Refused. 1st down.
So like I said, with Jaden Hurt catching that football at around the 15, had he been tackled there, Gateway would have been backed up about 15 more yards from where they are now to start this drive.
He's looking like he's coming up a little limp on the sidelines. He's actually down on the ground now, getting stretched out. Might be a cramp.
Right calf
cold
cramp.
weather. not uncommon, especially, like we said, three weeks of no game action. Not surprising that these guys might have some cramps, might have some issues, because again, just haven't seen the game speed for almost a month.
Good to have you along with us here in Turtle Creek, Pennsylvania, as the Woodland Hills Wolverines host the Gateway Gators. Gateway 2-1, or 2-0 rather, while Woodland Hills with one loss on the season, though they have played all their games thus far.
They have. I was interested to see how that would work out.
Gateway goes to the ground, and that's the first time we've seen Derek Davis on a running play have a crease, as the 6'2 senior carries that ball out across the 35 towards the 40, and that'll be the final play of the first quarter. And Woodland Hills and Gateway are scoreless as we head to frame number 2.
Yeah, no score on the board, but, no lack of excitement. Both of these teams have made some really big splash plays, and it's Williams and Davis, the two that you expected from. Williams has had a couple nice throws downfield. He's been able to take a couple naked bootlegs or broken plays and turn them into big gains upfield. And then Davis on the other side catching those screen passes and now finally getting a little bit of a crease up the middle. Both of those guys carrying the teams, but no points yet.
I mentioned a chilly evening here. Temperature says 48 degrees, but it feels a bit colder, mostly because we're used to being in the press box, but we're out in the elements tonight. Light humidity, 52%, light winds, sunset well before kickoff, clear night here in Turtle Creek, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, Adam, but I really do enjoy being out here because you do feel like you're really a part of everything that's going on. You're not behind the glass. You can see everything going on out on the field, and you can just hear so much more. In my opinion, I enjoy it. I like being right here in the action.
Well, as long as it's not raining, I don't mind either.
Yeah.
That is for sure. Help support the 2020 Gateway Gators by participating in the online 50-50 raffle. Download the Raffles Now app and search Gateway Football Boosters. Raffles the winner will be picked after the game, and the winner will be notified via email and within the app as well. Also, only a few days left to order your Moe's Taco Kit. Link to the order can be found on the Gateway Football Boosters Facebook page. And also want to thank you for joining us here on Facebook for the first time this season because of contractual obligations. We're not able to broadcast on Facebook for home games for the Gators, but on the road we can. Take a look at the Big East Conference standings. Penn Trafford 2-0, Gateway 1-0, Woodland Hills 2-1. Their lone loss coming to Penn Trafford on the road. A big victory for the Warriors there. The Latrobe Wildcats 1-1 within conference play. Franklin Regional 1-2, and Connellsville has yet to win a game, whether in conference or outside of conference thus far.
Yeah, and what's real interesting is you look at the standings there and you do the math. You see every team's likely not going to play the same amount of games. The WPIAL has just announced within the last week that they are going to be a de facto selection committee on who's in and who's out when it comes to the playoffs. So, this is a big game for both of these teams because it's kind of a semi-playoff game already.
Yeah, usually there's just a steering committee to put the playoff teams in the proper orders. Well, they're going to be a selection committee as well as a steering committee this postseason. Angle K in the shotgun on second down and 1 for the Gators as they'll go to the ground again. Derek Davis has the first down for Gateway out across the 40 to around the 42-yard line. And back-to-back offensive plays for Gateway leading to positive yards on the ground. It's good to see that Gators running attack starting to get things moving.
Yeah, and once you start doing that, you start to open up the possibilities of so much more. You can go play action and take a deep shot. You keep, running the ball effectively and wearing that defense down. It's not, going to be too long before Davis breaks one. You find him in the end zone.
Angle K looking right for Bodie. Step-for-step coverage by Eshawn Carter. Carter, who transferred to Woodland Hills from Steel Valley, getting his first full season of action. And Carter has a lot to say to Bodie after that play. And Bodie, who is a future Division I player, kind of kept his cool there after he was involved in some of those post-play words earlier in the game.
Yeah, you got to keep your head on a swivel. You never know when they're going to throw a flag for taunting. They technically can do that. They've let both sides kind of talk this far in the game, but you don't want to be the one that gets your team a 15-yard penalty.
Angle K pumps as he looks to the left-hand side. Now he's going to set his feet and throw and finds a receiver settling down in the flat for Gateway is Jaden Hurt. And what an adjustment and a sidearm throw by Engelke to make something out of nothing there.
Those are flashes. You must have been watching Patrick Mahomes on the big stage. That's the kind of throws that that guy makes, going from one side to the other. He pulls it down and is able to just sort of, as you said, get that one out quickly. It looked like he was thrown on to first to complete a double play, but now it's third and much more manageable.
Gateway goes to the ground. Derek Davis into Wolverines territory has the first down and more as he's brought down at around the 47-yard line as the tackle is made by Keyshawn Davis, 6'1" senior.
It looks like Davis is going to get a look at one of his shoes there. See if he got, looks like there was a bit of an ankle grab there on the tackle by Keyshawn Davis. So see how they compensate here with him out for a play.
Two receivers left, one to the near side right. Engelke pulls the ball out of the belly of the tailback and looks for Price, and Price drops the football for the second time.
That was a borderline hit there by, I believe, Tariq Scipio at the end of the play. Take another look. He kind of gets a shot in right at the end.
Yeah, that happened right behind my video monitor. I didn't see that part of the play. But yeah, that was way late. I don't know how the officials don't call that one on Tariq Scipio. After Price clearly dropped that football and took 2 steps, it got tattooed by Scipio. Engelke pulls the ball out of the belly, throws in the near side right, complete to Bodie, and Bodie is forced out of bounds at around the 30-yard line, and there's going to be some more tacked on to that because Woodland Hills is going to be guilty of roughing the quarterback.
Yeah, late hit, inexcusable mistake. Savon Givner, you're seeing a couple lapses of judgment. The Wolverines came out, fired up, talking trash, things like that, but you've got to keep it at that. Once it starts manifesting into action.
Roughing the passer. Defense. Contact above the shoulder to the head. Automatic. First down.
Yeah, once it manifests into physical action that's, in those borderlines, after the play, after the throw, those are absolute killers. And, Gateway was already really finding its rhythm on this drive, but now you move them down into the red zone, and this crowd is buzzing here.
Yeah, Gator fans on their feet as Gateway has the ball, 1st and 10 inside of the red zone at the 17-yard line. Gator on the sidelines thrilled to have this many fans in attendance, and it's certainly not a far trip from Monroeville for these Gator fans to come check out their team as the ball goes to the ground. And it's Kelvin Nelson carrying the ball inside of the 10, and he's close to first down yardage. They'll mark him down at around the 9.
Man, that's a big guy, 6 foot, 245 pounds. You thought Davis was tough to tackle. I mean, that's just a big guy to bring down.
Yeah, that's your nose tackle running the football right there. He just kept those legs churning as he was finally brought down inside of the 10 at around that 9.
That's the thing. Carter went high. You got to go low.
2 receivers left as Engelke again is going to hand off to Nelson. Nelson trying to run to the left-hand side. He'll get to the line of scrimmage and no further, and some pushing and shoving after the play as the Gator, Dominic Pascarella, he's able to cool off a bit. But Julian Jeffries from Woodland Hills, he wanted to keep going and had to be pulled away by a teammate and an official.
Now the officials are having a word with Jeffries right now. That's probably his one warning before the laundry comes out after that.
Yeah, Keyshawn Davis had to grab Jeffries and throw him back towards his defensive end spot to try to cool things off here. 3rd down and about 1 for Gateway inside of the Woodland Hills 10. It's a first down for Gateway as Kelvin Nelson carries that ball to around the 7-yard line. 1st and goal for Gateway. A fresh set of downs just 7 yards away from paydirt.
Good to see Nelson stepping in there. Davis checks back into the game, but as you see here, giving Davis a spell, able to do some work on his own, and good awareness there to know where the sticks are and extend forward to make sure for sure that you've got it.
Clock winding, 8 minutes, 15 seconds to play in the first half. Davis, the setback to the right, takes the handoff. Trying to run to the left-hand side. He'll be actually tripped up in the backfield. Nice job by DeMonte Gaither to make that tackle.
Yeah, it looked like Gaither was pushed to the ground and out of the play, but he's able to find that shoe and grab onto the ankle for dear life. And you see that's just enough to knock Davis off of his balance. So now it's second and a bit longer goal to go situation here for the first time tonight for either team.
Second and goal from the 10. Woodland Hills breaches the neutral zone. Gateway moved as well, but the official on that far sideline says it's going to go against Woodland Hills.
Yeah, it was Givner again. They're picking on him. He's had a tough time on both sides of the ball, staying set before the play goes off.
Defense, 5 yards.
And that 5-yard penalty is going to move the ball from the 10 to the 5, making it a lot easier for Gateway on this second and goal situation. Handoff, Davis. Had a crease for a moment, had the ball ripped out momentarily as well. The officials are going to say that the forward progress had been stalled before the ball was ripped away from Davis. But Woodland Hills holding strong up the gut there, as Julian Jeffries was involved in that tackle with Armani Bailey.
Yeah, it looked like Davis was down before you really see any action of the ball coming loose. I think you got to get the ball outside in Davis's hands again here. Go with the screen. Even if Woodland Hills sees it, they have not been able to stop it thus far, and just have had a tough time going up the gut. Get the ball out wide, get it into the hands of your best playmaker.
Woodland Hills stacking up front. Motion man from left to right. Engelke rolling to his right. He's going to throw it back to the left. There's no Gator there, as two Gateway players were over in the vicinity. One was Kelvin Nelson, the other one was Diego Bledsoe, and it seemed like Nelson was telling Bledsoe, you needed to be in the corner of that end zone for that throwback pass from Engelke.
Yeah, and Engelke took quite a hit after that one too, so lose-lose on that play overall. Definitely a miscommunication.
Yeah, Engelke hit as Gavin Yarborough came from a blitz over on that right cornerback side after the late motion. Clock stopped here with 6:37 to play in the second quarter. 0-0 your score. It's 4th and goal from the 5. Power pistol is Engelke. He's going to pitch. Now it's Jaden Hurt. He's going to throw. Wide open. Patrick Bodie catches the ball. It's a Gateway touchdown. The touchdown pass by Hurt. And it's the catch by Patrick Bodie.
Yeah, Hurt was hanging on to that. He was just about to pull that down and run and really didn't have an avenue. And Bodie's frantically waving his arms in the back of the end zone because he was all by himself. And he hasn't done a whole lot of talking tonight with the Wolverines have been John in his ear, but he certainly let them know once he caught that ball what the score is.
Yeah, Bodie, the future Division I player, after he caught that touchdown, got some love from his neighbor, Jacques Taylor. Low snap by Engelke, but a nice job as the hold is up and the kick is through the uprights by Jason Jenkins. And it's 7-0 Gateway on a nifty play by the Gateway Gators as Engelke pitched. Hurt came around from left to right and then found Bodie wide open in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, I didn't have Hurt to Bodie on my Gateway bingo card on offense. That one was pretty darn creative. And that's what you need. They've had a tough time with the standard offense. Engelke hasn't really been hitting the deep ball. Davis has been contained inside, as we saw there on 2nd and 3rd and goal. So change it up a bit, keep them off of their comfort level, and got ourselves our first score.
Send it down to Rick McIntyre. Rick, obviously we have seen a fair share of both of these teams drawing at each other. What are you hearing on the sidelines from the Gateway coaches about trying to calm these Gators down?
Well, Coach Hall says it every day. It's about repping the G, and part of doing that is maintaining your composure. It's okay to talk a little bit and be excited and be competitive, but you got to know where that boundary is. And so far, they're doing a pretty good job of doing that, and it feels like they're starting to draw the black jerseys to maybe cross that line themselves.
Vince, taking a look at that drive for Gateway, I think what really is notable is not the way they were able to pass the ball, but they finally got that running game going.
They did. I thought Nelson brought a nice change of pace, and that physicality was something the Wolverines I don't think were ready for, but even just getting a few reps up the middle with Davis, just consistency. And again, yeah, they're 4, 5, 6 yard runs right now, but you keep wearing on that defense, sooner or later Davis is going to break one, and he's going to get the pay dirt.
And it's good to see the Gateway, it maybe took a quarter, but it really seems like they've gotten their legs underneath them after being off for so long.
Yeah, the line is starting to find a bit more traction. You're seeing, they had a couple procedural penalties in the first quarter. None of that here in the second quarter. Things just look a little more rhythmic now from the Gators than it did early on.
Well, we have an opportunity. We want to thank our veteran crew for getting us up and running for our first road broadcast of the season and our first road broadcast for the Gateway Gators. All the guys did a great job, and the one young lady as well, getting us all set up here. Not our usual setup in the comfy confines of the press box in Monroeville.
No rust from us, though.
Yeah, well, a little bit. Did take me a little longer than usual to get set up out here in the bleachers, but at least it was a nice day. Certainly got a little chillier, though, since the sun went down.
Yeah, we were waiting for it. It's always be careful what you wish for because we had the sun right in our eyes. But now that it's down, it has gotten significantly colder.
It's chilly, that is for sure. And you and Rick don't have much hair, and I'm not chipping in with much more anyway. So it's certainly a chilly affair. For all the exposed skin. Getting word that the heater is on down in the production trailer, which is good news for the folks down there, Larry, Eric, and Allison. That's good for them. Not so much for us out here in the bleachers.
Yeah.
Even our camera operators braving the elements. Jason Jenkins' end-over-end kick will carry deep into the end zone. Nice leg by the senior kicker who has shown an ability to do that all season long.
Yeah, that's super critical in a game like this where Woodland Hills has those guys that have the capability back there to make splash plays. Set them up at the 20. Don't give them the opportunity to do that. Give them a long field to work with. Those little things right there, like the field position battle, those win and lose games, especially whenever you're sitting here with just a 7-0 score halfway through the second quarter.
Woodland Hills 1st and 10 at their own 20, ball in the middle of the field with receivers split to either side. Will go to the ground, will the Wolverines. And nowhere to go that time for the tailback, Siebels.
Yeah. Gateway flipping the script there. They dominate the line of scrimmage there that time, and there was just nothing going there.
Jacques Taylor, as well as Kelvin Nelson, are able to get through there and make the play in the backfield. We talked about Kelvin Nelson running the football, the big guy toting the rock, but of course we've talked a lot about him at that nose guard spot as well.
And Christopher Horton as well, able to just bulldoze his way through there and open up an avenue. Take a look there, the 5'11", 290-pound junior.
Trips left, Williams flushed right. Trying to elude Bledsoe, will do so. Now runs back to the near side. He's wrapped, and he's brought down by Jacques Taylor. Taylor, with great open field discipline, didn't get juked by the shifty Williams. And a big loss for the Wolverines, back to around the 11-yard line.
That was something that was going to be very interesting, going into this game. Gateway's defense and the way that their coach are very disciplined, and Williams and company on offense feed off of teams breaking down whenever plays get extended. But a great job there by the Gators. You see them moving side to side on the field, keeping those lanes and keeping containment on the outside, making things hard for Williams to try and break those big plays.
Trips right. Williams rolls right. Has some blockers. Throws, and the pass is short and incomplete. Coverage by Jameer Harbor for Gateway. And the punt unit has to come on for Woodland Hills, as again, Officials have to step in between Gators and Wolverines.
Hunter Dow there, you see him get held there. He was trying to talk to the officials to get a call there. He's frustrated even coming off of the field now, but hey, a 3 and out. You make the Wolverines go backwards. They have to punt from within their own 20. This is great for the field position battle as you've got Patrick Bodie back there. His heels are going to be inside the 45-yard line, and unless Williams gets a real boot on this one, they're going to have a chance to return this one and set up shop deep within Wolverines territory.
Williams standing at his own goal line and will get it off under duress. It'll take a bounce in favor of Gateway, and it'll be down by the Wolverines at around the 29-yard line, so it's going to be 1st and 10 for Gateway. They're going to mark the ball at the 30.
Wow, great pressure there, almost getting a piece of that one. You take a look there, not sure exactly what it was, right on that left side. Who is that coming around completely unblocked almost? Because of that, kick definitely rushed by Williams, doesn't get quite as much on it. And right at the 30-yard line on the right hash, Gateway goes to work.
Send it back down to the sideline while the network TV broadcast has a timeout. And Rick, what'd you see the defense do down on the sidelines to adjust differently than they had done in the previous few drives?
I think Vince said it pretty well in that the big splash play there where quarterback Woodland Hills tried to break back and come across that left side, and they're just staying disciplined. They're staying in their assignments. They're taking their gaps. They're not trying to overread the offense. They're not trying to do anything more than what they're supposed to do, and they're working pretty well as a cohesive unit to get a really nice, important 3-and-out series there. And if you look at time of possession here, Adam, Gateway had the ball, deep in the first quarter, and then almost the entire second quarter here so far. And they got the ball now in scoring position with 4.5 minutes left. That the best way to keep number 6 out of the end zone for Woodland Hills is to keep him off the field with the ball.
Don't forget, next week, Gateway hits the road again. Their final regular season game as they travel down 119 to Connellsville, and we will have the call for you both on the Trib Live High School Sports Network as well as on our Facebook page. Hopefully, it depends on our internet connection, to be honest with you. We'll definitely be on the Trib either way. And the game kicks off at 7, and Vince and I will be on the call for you. And if Rick will be so kind as to make the journey as well, he'll be down on the sidelines. 2 receivers to either side. Angle K in the shotgun with Davis to his left. Angle K has time. Throws to his right to Bodie. Bodie catches it, and he'll be shoved out of bounds. Pick up of a handful before the stop is made by Eshawn Carter. Vince, I talked to Bodie's mom last week. We were talking about something not related to Gateway football. But what amazes me is she says he's being recruited as a defensive back. He's just so dangerous with his hands on the football. To think that he's going to play as a DB at the next level is almost baffling.
Yeah, we saw him.
Timeout. Gateway, that's their first.
We saw him week 1 get into the end zone, 4 times? I mean, my goodness. He is incredibly dangerous with the ball in his hands. I mean, 8 receptions coming into this game for 196 yards and 3 touchdowns, averaging 25 per. I mean, who wouldn't want to have a playmaker like that on their offense?
Time for the Trib Live Top 5 as Gateway remains at number 2, even though they've only played 2 games. Pine Richland stays atop the Trib Live Top 5. Peters Township at number 3, a team that Gateway defeated last year in the WPIAL finals. Woodland Hills, number 4, and Upper St. Clair rounds out the top 5. And really what's notable about that is there's no teams out of that Allegheny Conference other than or out of that Northern Conference, I should say, other than the Pine Richland Rams.
Yeah, they really are in a league of their own when it comes to that conference. I'm still super bummed that we didn't get to see them and Gateway face off a few weeks ago. I really think that would have been just an amazing game to see, as this one has been so far tonight between 2 and 4, but hopefully we'll get a rematch of that at some point in the postseason, willing that both of these teams qualify and advance through the playoffs.
Yeah, don't be surprised to see that bracket lined up so those two teams are set to meet in the WPIAL championship game at a site that has yet to be determined. A season ago, the 5A championship game was at Norwin High School, and you've got to think that may be a likely location coming up next year as well, or this year as well.
Absolutely.
Still waiting to get back to live action after the timeout by the Gateway Gators. Gateway going to run a reverse here as Bodie taking it, running left, has room into the end zone for his second touchdown. No, they're going to say he's out at the 1, but either way, Gateway with the trickery again. This time it's Davis running from left to right, pitching to Bodie, who's going the other way from right to left, and Bodie takes it around that end and takes it all the way towards the goal line where they say he steps out near the 1-yard line.
Yeah, you see him suck in the defender there. Gene Edmondson had gotten into the backfield from the linebacker position. He gets fooled. Givner, he was fooled as well. Great play call there. And they'll set up shop, 1st and goal, right at the 1.
Hand off to Davis, wiggling his way towards the goal line and into the end zone for a Gateway touchdown. And a flag flies as there's some pushing and shoving after the Gator TD.
And another one. So we got 2 different ones here. We'll see if these offset or if they are both aligned to one team.
Yeah, Givner was involved at least in the second one as he got pulled out and tossed towards the sideline, and he's getting an earful from head coach Tim Bostard over on that far sideline.
And again, we just got done talking about Bodie. They call his number. They might have to start rethinking him on the recruitment trail, whether or not they want to get the ball into his hands wherever he stops next after high school.
And that was something that, we talked about with Davis. He's going to be a D-back at the next level as well. But you've got to assume that both of those guys, if they're playing at the next level at DB, they're going to return kicks too.
We have a score. After the play was over, personal foul, defense, 53. Dead ball, personal foul, defense, 53. These penalties will be enforced on the kickoff.
So 2 personal fouls against Gateway's Savon Givner. It's 52, not 53. Woodland Hills doesn't have a 53.
Right.
But it was Givner who was the guilty party, who has had a rough go of it and really got an earful from head coach Tim Bostard over on that sideline. Tim grabbed him by the collar and talked to him for a good long time over there. Kick is up, and the kick is good. With 4:19 to play here in the second quarter, Gateway has doubled their lead on Woodland Hills, 14-zip.
Yeah, you're not really going to be able to stop Davis from the 1, and I get the frustration boiling over. The Wolverines have had some opportunities here. Things are starting to slant out of their direction a little bit. They're, doing a lot of talking, trying to back that talking up. And you see Givner, hey, you're going to get a mouthful. 1 penalty is bad enough, but 2 personal fouls. Now all of a sudden the field position game is going to be that much harder because on the kickoff here, it's going to be exponentially moved forward. And so, that's just unacceptable. And a guy who's already just been struggling so far tonight.
Yeah, getting word from down along field level that first there was a late hit by Givner. Apparently he had hit the ball carrier Davis after he had been into the end zone for quite a while. And then that was followed up by another personal foul for foul language. which, obviously the officials allow some of that to happen within reason. But when things get beyond a certain level, the officials certainly are willing to blow those or to throw those flags in those circumstances.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a line. And, there's a difference between letting something slip after a hit or, you drop the pass, something frustrating like that. And there's another to be throwing words at an opponent, right? And I think that's probably what happened. You don't want to make any assumptions because we weren't down there, but likely that's what happened, and that's when those penalties usually come into play.
Yeah, if you get face mask to face mask with somebody for a minute and you say one thing, I think the officials may let it go, especially if it's the first time it happens. But if it becomes a pattern, and number two, if it's something that goes on for longer than after the officials say knock it off, I think that's when those flags start to fly, especially with veteran officials who have a tendency to give you that little bit of leeway before they throw the flags.
Well, they understand this is a rivalry game. They understand that this has a ton of playoff implications. And oh my goodness, look at that. They're kicking off. I don't think I've ever seen this in a football game before.
Yeah, instead of from the 40, it's at the 30, and Gateway's going to go with the onside kick. A really heady play there. Rick, you said it in our ears. I'd go for, to quote Rick from the sideline, he said, I'd go for an onside kick here, and that's exactly what Gateway did. Unfortunately, it bounced into the hands of DeMonte Gaither for Woodland Hills, and Gateway not able to come out of there with the football. Instead, it'll be Woodland Hills 1st and 10 at the 18.
Just the visual of a team kicking off from the 30-yard line is something I have never seen in a football game before. And yeah, you have nothing to lose going with the onside kick there. Normally you do it in normal circumstances. You're giving up a ton of field position. But now Woodland Hills starts inside their own 20.
Pistol formation. Williams hands off. Siebels initially had a little bit of room as fists are thrown as Dow was getting into it with a Woodland Hills player. And as Damon Taylor was pulled away from Dow, he threw a fist. And even if this is offsetting, you've really got to get Taylor off the field for at least one play if you're Woodland Hills.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate to see that happen. These are young men. There's tempers, things flare up. It's always really tough to see that sort of stuff happen. There's been a lot of escalation in this game on both sides. Up to this point, it had been within the confines of the game.
After the play was over, dead ball, personal foul, 53, offense, 53, threw a punch, and he will be ejected.
That was 57, Damon
Correction.
Taylor.
57, thank you.
So Taylor was the player who got into it with Dow. Let's see if we can see it here. As near the top of the screen, you see he and Dow getting into it. And unfortunately, it's not in our replay, but as the two players were separated, Dow kind of kept his cool. Taylor threw a punch, went over to that sideline, and you saw former Gateway assistant and former Woodland Hills player, now Woodland Hills assistant, Maurice Walker, taking Taylor over there, talking to him, trying to cool him off before Taylor heads to the locker room.
Yeah, again, super unfortunate. Taylor's going to have to reconcile with that and move forward from it. But, chippy game, things escalate. And
that's a very valid point. Rick just mentioned it. Rick, spot on. What does Taylor think he's going to do throwing a punch to somebody who has a helmet on? I mean, certainly I understand that this game has a little bit of extra juice to it. And Rick, to be honest with you, you and I know all about the extra juice that goes into a Woodland Hills Gateway game. For our viewers on the Gateway side that don't know, Rick and I played at Woodland Hills. We know what this game is all about. However, you can't lose your cool regardless of the circumstance.
Yeah, absolutely, Adam. And that's, again, something that comes with, working and living so close in proximity, the two districts, side by side. Always been a great rivalry from the time we played and even before.
Woodland Hills goes to the ground. A nice crease there for Siebels, and Siebels carries it out across the 30 to around the 35-yard line. And it will be a first down for Woodland Hills at that 35-yard line.
Well, you're going to learn a lot about the Wolverines here. You've faced some adversity the last couple of drives. You've created some pretty gnarly self-inflicted wounds. Now is the time to stop talking, put your head down, and get the ball down the field. And that was a nice run there.
This time it's Williams carrying the football as he'll be met at the line of scrimmage and won't go any further. And he'll get a hand up by Derek Davis. That'll bring up 2nd down and 10.
Now, obviously, he broke early or late in the first quarter, rather, that one long one from deep within their own territory that was good for about 50, 60 yards. But other than that, they really have contained Williams, and he has not really been that X factor on offense for the Wolverines.
They'll give Williams 1 yard on that previous play, so it's 2nd and 9. As Siebels is the ball carrier, and he has nowhere to go as Aiden Smith came on a blitz, and the run blitz leads to a 2-yard loss for the Woodland Hills Wolverines.
And Smith almost blew that up to the point where the exchange almost got messed up. You saw Williams.
Time out. Gateway. That is their 2nd of the first half.
Saw Williams almost rip that ball back. He saw Smith coming through in a hurry, but at that point it was just too late. The play was already
Clock operator,
over.
could you please?
So they're going to reset the clock. They're going to add a few seconds to the clock. Though, really, Gateway using the timeout here because they want to get a stop and try to get the ball back with an opportunity to put some more points on the board before halftime.
Yeah, you get one more score, you start to really break the will of the Wolverines as we take a look at the games thus far. This is the first one that's remained relatively competitive. As you see, Franklin Regional, they had most of the second team in by the time the third quarter started. Bethel Park, much of the same. And then it's been 3 long weeks to get them back in action.
Yeah, the game against Pine Ridge was canceled the morning of the game. The game at Latrobe was canceled well in advance, and then the game against Penn Trafford was supposed to be played this past Sunday night, and it was canceled on Friday afternoon due to COVID at Penn Trafford, while the previous 2 weeks were due to COVID closures at Gateway. For Gateway able to play today, and then hopefully next Friday at Connellsville. As Williams has lots of time here. Now he's pressured as he runs to that far sideline. He'll step to the boundary as Jacques Taylor never gave up and will be credited with the tackle. And it's a 1-yard loss on the play, and that'll bring up 4th down and a dozen. And to add insult to injury, Williams steps out of bounds. So that stops the clock, allowing Gateway to get the ball back with even more time.
Yeah, and you save a timeout there that you don't have to use. And that just allows you to open up the playbook a little bit more and take a little bit more time offensively. And Gateway with another golden opportunity here. They should get the ball back in relatively good field position, getting a quick stop once again against the Wolverines.
High snap, but Williams able to gather it in and kick this one to Bodie, who will catch it around the 40-yard line. And he caught it and put his knee down immediately. And it'll be 1st and 10 for Gateway, just 60 yards away from pay dirt and extending this lead.
And Bodie with some more words for some of the Wolverines. The talking is continuing down there. The Wolverines aren't backing down in that regard, even though they've conceded a few scores here in the second quarter. But it'd be interesting to see if, the last drive was a lot of north to south running, getting the ball to Davis, to Nelson, and then a quick couple passes sprinkled in downfield. Wonder if they'll try to set up any of those bubble screens again. They only tried the bubble screen in its actual form once. Most of it was just swinging the ball out quickly to Davis and giving him room to work with. So it'd be interesting to see what the play calling looks like here with 2 minutes and 5 seconds.
Trips to the left as Engelke rolls to the left, has protection, sets his feet and throws. The pass high intended for Price, and that brings up 2nd down and 10 as a flag comes in late. And it came from the referee, and that usually is holding.
I see the Wolverines clapping, so likely the case.
Check in with our referee, Wayne Mattis, and see what he has to say.
Holding. Offense, number 55, 10 yards from the spot of the foul.
So Jacques Taylor, the guilty party. Left tackle for the Gators. Certainly didn't look like it from at least the end of that play. It looked like he just had his arm up underneath, or his hand underneath the defensive lineman's arm, and then kept pushing at Sivan Givner.
Tough break now. First down and a mile. See if they can gain some of that back here quickly. Another 4 receiver set.
And the ball's back at the 25, so it's a loss on that play of 15, bringing up 1st and 25. And a little chunk taken away on that first down play, the run by Davis, as he picks up about 9, bringing up 2nd down and 16. Angle K, lots of time. Has literally all day to throw this football. Rolls right, pumps. Now steps out of bounds as he carries it out across the 35.
He had Shane Thrift wide open coming across the field. My goodness, might not be able to see it from this angle, but Thrift is going to come right through there. You see him at the bottom. He cuts it right across the field, and he had a lot of green in front of him. Angle K, just too much pressure in his face to be able to see that one downfield, pulls it in and makes a smart play at the end of the day, not trying to force anything.
So after that run by Angle K of a handful of yards, it's now 3rd down and 14 for the Gators after they faced 1st in the country mile. Angle K, pass intended for Price is low. That would have been enough for a 1st down, but instead that'll bring up 4th down, and the Gators. Decision time for head coach Don Hall, and you've got to assume the punt unit's going to come on.
Yeah, Angle K just hasn't had that touch thus far that we've seen in the first couple games. I don't know if the cold weather is playing a factor into it, the 3 weeks off is playing, maybe both. But, coming into this contest, he was completing about 70% of his passes tonight. He's really had a hard time getting the ball into the hands of his playmakers downfield.
Good snap by Angle K, as Jenkins gets away a nice punt that'll take a neutral bounce and die at around the 32-yard line, maybe near the 33, but regardless, a nice punt there by Jason Jenkins gets the Gators out of some danger.
We'll see how aggressive with 1 minute and 7 seconds the Wolverines want to be here. They have the speed and the talent to get the ball down the field quickly, see if Williams sets up with another one of those naked boots, or if they're able to get their trio of receivers, Bailey, Scipio, Yarborough down the field, try and get a deep connection, try and give this team a little life offensively. Because really this second quarter, much like the Penn Trafford game, they've just laid a giant goose egg, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
2 receivers right. The Wolverines now motioning the slot on the left-hand side from left to right, and that's the ball carrier, Amari Daniels. And Daniels carries that ball out across the 35 to around the 36. I'll say he's actually down at the 35. So a gain of just about 2.
Yeah, it's a tough break. He had the outside. He had some room to run and just lost his footing.
Clock winding to about 35 seconds to play here in half number 1. Motion man from right to left is Bailey. Wolverines hand it off to Seibles instead, and Seibles carries it out from the 35 out to around the 37 before he's dumped down, which will likely be the final play of half number 1. Woodland Hills rushes to the line. They have 5 seconds to get a snap off, and they do so. Williams, straight drop back. He's just going to throw it deep, really deep, and the pass is intercepted. And the final play of the half is an interception by Shane Thrift, but a flag is down back in the backfield.
Have to wonder if there might have been a late hit on the quarterback. My eyes were on the ball going downfield. I didn't really get a chance to see.
The body language of Jacques Taylor may say it all.
Personal foul. roughing the passer, 55. White defense, 15 yards, automatic, first down.
So this will be an untimed down.
An accepted penalty.
I don't think we need to hear Wayne Mattis explain this. It's an untimed down here, so that'll move the ball forward 15 yards, and an untimed down here for Woodland Hills. And we'll see what they do here. We saw them throw a deep pass on what looked like it was going to be the final play of the second quarter.
And you saw Williams' arm strength there. Not only can he use his legs effectively, but he can throw the deep ball relatively well. And now with the ball squarely at midfield, if he's able to get a little air under one, might as well just send the receivers down to the end zone and hope one of your guys comes down with it.
Williams. Now he's going to step forward, running to that far sideline, and he'll be forced out of bounds by Diego Bledsoe. And that'll do it for half number one. As we head to the locker room after 24 minutes of football, it's Gateway 14 and Woodland Hills 0. As things got a bit off the rails in the second quarter for Woodland Hills, and Gateway took advantage, Vince.
They did. The Wolverines lost their composure for most of the quarter. We saw all of the personnel foul penalties. We saw Savon Givner have a tough time out there. We saw Damon Taylor throw a punch. And Gateway kept their composure, a well-coached team, a disciplined team. They put 2 scores on the board. They get the running game moving in the right direction, and now it's their game to control in the second half. If they can keep running the ball like that, they can shorten this one up, kind of bleed that clock a bit, and get out of here with a win.
Speaking of bleeding that clock, Rick made a very valid point in the second quarter. How about how Gateway was able to control the clock in the latter stages of the first quarter and really through the second?
Absolutely. I mean, that's got to be the key in the second half is, get that combination of Nelson and Davis the ball, continue to keep things simple. Engelke's been great this year thus far through the first 2 games, but he just hasn't had that touch tonight. So it looks like the ground game is the best bet. Keep running that option. Keep throwing in different backs into the backfield. If you can get some of those screens moving to the outside, you've had success there too, but you're up 2 scores. Keep it simple. Don't give Woodland Hills a reason to think that they can get back into this one in the second half.
Got to wonder how much the cold weather has to do with the fact that Gateway receivers have dropped a couple of balls as well.
They have. Engelke has put some ones on the money, especially out towards the sidelines, and he's had a couple drops from his receivers, which haven't helped things whatsoever. So the passing game, I don't know that it's anyone's fault. You have 3 weeks off. You have cold conditions. Makes it a little harder to throw in general. It's just not a recipe for success in this weather. That's why I think you got to keep it with the ground game.
Well, it's going to give us an opportunity here at halftime to step away, and we are going to show you an encore performance of the Gateway Marching Band, and then later in halftime, we'll get you set for half number 2. For Vince Russo, Rick McIntyre down on the field, and our whole crew, we thank you for joining us here in half number 1. We'll be back with the second half in just a bit here on Trib Live High School Sports Network and Facebook.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome to the field the 2020 Gateway High School Marching Band. The marching band this year has worked as hard as ever through difficult times to bring you their 2020 show. Using music from Star Trek and Gustav Holst's suite, The Planets, the Gateway Band is proud to present the first 3 movements of their 2020 show, Orbit. Now, under the field direction of drum majors Rebecca Burns, David Clark, and Ashwarya Krishnamurthy, it's my pleasure to present the 2020 Gateway High School Marching Band. The Gateway Marching Band is under the direction of Mr. James Helchie, with assistance from Mr. Sean McMasters, Mr. Ryan Moser, and Mr. Dave Verno. Color Guard Directors, Mrs. Deb Cosley and Mr. Robert Reed. The Gateway Band would like to thank the Gateway School District Administration, School Board, and the community for their continued support. Thank you.
Getting set for the second half here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network, as well as on Facebook. Adam Gusky and Vince Russo up here in the stands. Rick McIntyre down along the sidelines as the Gateway Gators lead the Woodland Hills Wolverines 14-0 in a Big East Conference matchup. Good to have you along with us on this chilly evening in western Pennsylvania. Things got away from the Wolverines in the second quarter without a doubt. They were guilty of a handful of personal fouls, including 2 against one particular player in Savon Givner. And then, of course, we talked about it before we stepped away. Damon Taylor was ejected from the game for throwing a punch. So you've got to assume that head coach Tim Bostard and the rest of his coaching staff in the locker room really had a talking to with their team to try to keep cool heads through this second half.
Well, there's a tipping point on all those things, right? You know, in the first quarter, we saw that emotion and that intensity from the Wolverines kept them in the game and enabled them to make some big plays and some big stops. They were flocking to the ball defensively, but there's always that tipping point. They went past it. Things started happening after the play. You get some roughing the passer penalties. Givner had not just 2 personal foul penalties, but 2 on the same play, which resulted in a Gateway touchdown at that. So, you know, those are just things that can't happen. So this game is still within reach. It's interesting enough. The Gators, for the first time this season, are going to have to keep the starters out there for 4 whole quarters, it looks like. And we'll see how this one looks with just a 14-0 score thus far.
After the kickoff, we'll send it down to Rick McIntyre, see what he was able to learn as the Gators came out of the locker room after they spent a good bit of time inside the field house to our right-hand side as we are back underway here in Turtle Creek, PA, as Jason Jenkins' kick carries into the end zone for a touchback. And Rick, what were you able to glean from the Gators coming out of the break?
Yeah, thanks, Adam. I grabbed Coach Hall right after halftime, as I like to do, and kind of get in his face and make him give me a couple talking points. But the phrase he used a couple times was they're focused on the Gators playing championship football. And that means cutting out the talking, cutting out the extracurricular stuff. And something he mentioned, as meticulous as we all know Coach Hall is, part of their practice sessions is actually practicing the celebration technique and what they're doing after a touchdown to make sure it's about the team coming together and celebrating. And Coach was very disappointed, in that one touchdown where there were a couple of personal fouls against Woodland Hills. The Gateway lost focus on that. Instead of coming together as a team, they were approaching black jerseys and running their mouths a little bit. So I think he put a good check on that. We'll see what happens in the second half.
Woodland Hills going to go to the ground on the first play from scrimmage in half number 2, and it is Eris Siebels, the ball carrier, out across the 25 to around the 27-yard line. So a nice pickup of 7 brings up second down and 3.
Yeah, Siebels is consistently getting positive yardage on first and second downs. He's been a great option for the Wolverines thus far. They haven't been able to capitalize on any drives, but doesn't mean they haven't moved the football thus far in the game at points.
Hand off to Armani Bailey as he came in motion from right to left, trying to take the end around, but had nowhere to go as he was swallowed up by Jacques Taylor. A couple of other white jerseys were there to keep Bailey in check had he escaped Taylor, but he did not. And a loss on that play of about a yard brings up third down and 4.
Revisiting what Rick said, you look at Gateway, they didn't have any personal foul penalties in that first half, and that's made a huge difference for the club thus far and their ability to execute, especially in the field position game.
Siebels again, the ball carrier, as he carries that one from the 26 out towards the 30. They're going to mark him down at the 29 though. As initially it did look like he get to about the 30, but the officials, after taking a look at our replay there, that was pretty spot on with that spot. So 4th and 1 for the Wolverines, and they will stay out there with their offense on 4th and 1 shy of the Gators 30, or shy of their own 30. See what the Gators defense does here. Trips right, one receiver to the left. Williams in the shotgun, hands off to Siebels. Siebels surges forward. He was met initially, and it looked like he was going to be brought down shy, but was able to slide through the tackle. And Aiden Smith ends up making the tackle after initial contact. But still a gain of about 2 brings up a 1st and 10 for the Wolverines.
That's a gutsy call, but great execution there. A great second effort by Siebels to get that ball across the 30-yard line. And you give the ball back to Gateway after just one first down, all of a sudden this game could really get away from you. Now this drive continues.
Williams rolls to the right, throws to the right, and the pass to Armani Bailey is caught over there on that far boundary.
They have lost track of Bailey a few times tonight. That's his second time streaming across the field towards the sidelines, and this time there was no one near him whatsoever.
A nice pickup there for Woodland Hills from the 31 to the 46, so a gain of 15. And it's 1st and 10. Williams in the shotgun as Bailey motions from right to left. Instead, the handoff is going to go to the tailback as the ball came loose. Gateway was able to cover it up after Siebels couldn't hang on to it.
Luckily, the Wolverines able to jump on that one, take another look as the ball gets punched out there. Looks like for the Gators that came from the linebacker position. Almost a big turnover there right around midfield.
Straight drop back, pressure on Williams. He retreats, he throws to that far sideline. I mean, there's no receiver anywhere near that football.
Yeah, the crowd is certainly clamoring for it over here on the Gators sideline. There was nobody there, and he was still in the pocket. You'd think that has to be intentional grounding.
Woodland Hills head coach Tim Bostard arguing with the official, and now the flag comes down from referee Wayne Mattis.
Yeah, I mean, take another look here. 42's laying the block, but he throws it well over top, and there's just no one anywhere near. I mean, coach is the one that's closest to the ball. And so there's really no doubt about that one. It's a pretty easy call to make that. Now it makes it 3rd and 25, it looks like.
Foul is back to the 30-yard line. It'll be 3rd and 17.
Wolverines go to the ground. Ball carrier is Brandon Jones, and Jones is brought down after a modest pickup, and the Woodland Hills offensive lineman is slow to get to his feet.
It looks like that's Jameer Ulmer.
Yeah, Ulmer is slow to get to his feet.
And that's really not good. I mean, you don't want to see any of your linemen go down, but Ulmer is just such a presence there. 6 foot, 317 pounds. He's a senior with a ton of experience. He was someone who wasn't on the field all the time last season, and the Wolverines suffered because of it. They've been able to run the ball so much more effectively with him being a part of the game plan this year. And if he misses any extended period of time, it's going to be really hard for the Wolverines to try and claw their way back into this one.
So Ulmer being tended to by the Woodland Hills athletic trainer. Checking him on him is head coach Tim Bostard, also offensive line coach Brian Johnson.
Well, in the meantime, this brings up a 4th and long, and the only other time we saw the Wolverines punt in the first half, Gateway got very close to blocking it, forced Deontay Williams into kind of a pooch punt that didn't really go very far whatsoever. See if Gateway brings the same kind of pressure, a little more pressure this time, and gets a block on one and is able to return it the other way.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what the Gateway offense is able to do if they do, in fact, get the ball back here, because we saw them starting to really get things rolling in quarter number 2. And now they have an opportunity, after they were able to get their legs underneath them, to adjust to what the Woodland Hills defense has been doing to them. So now it's like a secondary opportunity.
Yeah, they started to really execute along the line of scrimmage. They started to get the running game going north to south. And as the passing game has come up a little short on them tonight, some drops as we talked about at the end of the first half, receivers not able to bring that ball in. It'll be interesting to see what they go to here, and if they do just go to the ground and pound and try and salt away the clock and get out of here with a win.
I'll tell you what, Vince, one thing that is definitely a bonus for being out here is getting to hear this Gateway crowd. And while it's small, it's very vocal, and it's good to see the folks from Monroeville and Pitcairn make the trip down here to Turtle Creek to watch their Gators in some numbers they haven't been able to do all season long.
Yeah, and they have not disappointed. They've brought the noise. They've brought the cowbells. They've got it going on, and this crowd has not lessened as it's gotten colder. So it's been good to see them out in full force so far tonight.
High punt by Williams. Bodie's going to fair catch it, but it fell through his hands, and it's going to be Woodland Hills football, as for the second time this season, Patrick Bodie muffs a punt.
Yeah, that was one of those things we talked about coming into this game. Bodie has just been super unreliable back there on the punt return duties. He's been so good on offense and on defense, but this has just been, the chink in the armor for him, that he's just not been able to, corral that ball in, and he made a smart choice in calling for the fair catch, but just couldn't keep it.
And this is the second time we see Woodland Hills inside of the Gateway 35 today. They came up empty the first time they were able to do so back in quarter number 1. This time the Wolverines have receivers split to either side. They'll go to the ground. Running to the left-hand side is Eric Siebels, but he will be brought down after a decent gain of about 10 or so, but a flag is down as well.
Yeah, it looks like this one's going to come back on a holding call on the outside. believe the guilty party, Eshawn Carter.
Holding. Number 1, offense, 10-yard, spotted a foul. Replay, first down.
So that'll be Gavin Yarbrough, actually. You can see him protesting that to no avail.
And that foul was at the 29-yard line, so that's going to push the ball back to the 39. First down at about 16 or 17 with a line to gain just inside the 25 at the 23.
And if you're the Wolverines, you've got to come away with points here. You've got to give yourself some life.
And the ball slips out of the hands of Williams. It's still loose. Will it be Siebels or will it be the Gators coming out of there with it? The officials say the Gators have the football. And with the fumble recovery for Gateway is Jameer Harbor. Harbor, the linebacker, with the fumble recovery.
There's no penalty on the play.
It's an injury timeout, though, as the Wolverine down there at around the 40-yard line.
That's Williams. That's really not a good sign. You don't want to see anyone come up limp after a play, but Williams, if he's unavailable to keep going, as he looks like he's in some major discomfort, you know, he is the lifeblood of this offense.
He is holding, I believe it's his left arm, completely limp. As the ball was ripped away from him, he's carrying that arm low on that left-hand side. And that's bad news for the Woodland Hills Wolverines. You know, you've got to hope that that's just a shoulder stinger and not a separated shoulder. The good news is it looks like he's able to move his arm with some ease as he takes more and more steps. So that's hopefully good news for Williams that he'll be able to return. Two receivers stacked left, two to the near side right. Gators go to the ground. Nowhere to go for Davis as he had Dante Dutrell right in his face, senior linebacker.
Yeah, good job by Dutrell getting in, blowing up that play early, and really got to Davis before he could get moving. He makes that initial jump cut, but before he's able to really start going north-south, he gets taken down.
Flags fly before the snap, and then we have some extracurriculars involved as well as Armani Bailey gets tied up with Shane Thrift. And now Shane Thrift steps away as some Wolverines head his way.
And a heady play there by Jacques Taylor. And
Before the play, neutral zone infraction, offense, 5 yards.
Neutral zone infraction by the offense.
I don't know if that was a slip of the tongue and he meant to say, false start. You don't normally see that, but a procedural penalty nonetheless. But I want to recognize Jacques Taylor there. You know, the senior going over, getting in front of people, including Shane Thrift, pulling people out of that crowd, not allowing things to escalate. That's the reason why Gateway hasn't had any of those 15-yarders tonight, is you have some of those seniors who are making sure that, as Rick said earlier in the game, that they are repping the G and that they're doing the culture of the program right.
Gators with the ball in the right hash, facing a 2nd down and 17 as the clock winds here in quarter number 3. Angle K throws to the left-hand side for Davis, and he is met, lifted up, and slammed to the turf.
Wow. I mean, almost nothing to say. You don't see people bring down Davis on their own hardly ever, let alone pick him up and throw him to the turf like a rag doll. What an excellent open field tackle to stop that play before it's gotten started. I believe that was Armani Bailey. Kudos to him.
And a flag came in from the near sideline as well.
Sideline warning. Gateway, this is their first warning.
For our viewers that aren't aware, the sidelines here at Woodland Hills are very, very narrow. The stands are right out on top of the field. Now on the near sideline, there used to be some more room. But when the renovations happened back in 2007, they extended the visitors' bleachers out a bit. As Angle K is going to lateral pass, then it's going to be thrown down the near sideline, and the pass is tipped and incomplete, but I think there's going to be pass interference against Woodland Hills. And the only possible thing I can think of is perhaps Shamar Price is going to be guilty of trying to push off, but there was a Wolverine grabbing his jersey and Armani Bailey, so the officials are going to sort this one out.
In the meantime, if it's worth referencing that they missed Bodie going across the middle wide open.
Ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. Holding. Offense. 10 yards. Oh.
Defense.
Okay.
Correction. Holding. Defense.
Okay.
10 yards.
Okay, so that will be a 10-yard penalty. And are we going to replay the down here? Can we have some clarification on that, Wayne? I guess not. Instead of 3rd and 23, it's now going to be 3rd and 13.
And I think everyone's a little confused right now. I don't think anyone really knows what's happening.
Yeah. Trips right. 2 receivers left. Angle K looks to his left. And the pass intended for Jaden Hurt was knocked down to the turf by the defensive end, Savon Givner. The punt unit's going to have to come out. Boy, Gateway seems all kind of out of sorts offensively. We thought they were going to be able to right the ship after looking really sharp offensively in the second quarter, and they came out completely out of sorts here.
I tell you
number
what.
2.
Yeah, I tell you what, Adam. I mean, they're lucky that this game is still 14-0 after a careless turnover. Now they're, setting up trick plays, throwing the ball all over the field. It's just, it looks completely disjointed. And if it weren't for Deontay Williams fumbling, this could be a 14-7 one-possession game right now.
Punt by Jenkins takes a very nice roll in favor of the Gateway Gators, and it'll be 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills at the 25-yard line. So Jenkins doing a really nice job of turning the field in favor of the Gateway Gators.
Yeah, Jenkins a big asset to have. He's been automatic on PATs. The only miss he's had was from a block during that Bethel Park game that was returned for 2 points. Consistently putting the ball in the back of the end zone on kickoffs, and they're in the punting game, able to flip the field. Hopefully this allows that defense kind of get the bad taste out of its mouth after the offense goes out there and really has a hard time putting anything together.
So let's reset the scene here as there's a timeout on the field. It's 14-0. Gateway on top of Woodland Hills with 6:18 to play in the third quarter. Gateway came out of the locker room. Their defense bent a little bit but never broke. And then a punt by Woodland Hills, and it was muffed by Bodie. Woodland Hills was pushed back defensively, and then a fumble by Deontay Williams, and Williams was shaken up on the play, and we thought that was the opportunity Gateway needed to maybe get things going offensively. But their offense really looked out of sorts. Couldn't get Davis running the football. Then the trick play, and that broke down. Looked like Woodland Hills had seen that one coming, and had it not been for a penalty, it would have been an incomplete pass, and the punt unit would have come out. But another opportunity for the offense, but they weren't able to capitalize there either.
Right. I mean, the most meaningful thing that happened, the most eventful thing that happened during that drive was Armani Bailey flying through and blowing up a screen pass to Davis, picking him up and throwing him into the turf. I mean, the Wolverines just came out on that possession wanting it more than the Gators, and it showed. It showed in the execution, and the Gateway Gators did themselves no favors. Again, lucky to still have that 2-touchdown cushion, see if they can kind of reset things here on the defensive side.
After this first down play, we're going to send it down to the sideline, see if Rick McIntyre hears anything about what's going on that Gateway sideline, as they cannot at all be happy with the way they've played through the first 6 minutes of this third quarter. Rick, after that first down play, a gain of about 2 before the Woodland Hills running back was swallowed up. Like I said, really, the Gateway offense struggling.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like they can really get anything going, can't get anything to kind of a rhythm here. And honestly, just in general here, the flavor of this second half so far, it's tough to get a gauge on who has the momentum. That seems to be shifting very quickly with a big play here, big play there, big mistake here, big mistake there. So looking to see who can pull it together first.
So after Siebels with the run on first down picked up 2, the Wolverines are going to go to the ground here again. Looked like it may have been a broken play as Deontay Williams got the snap. Didn't know what to do with it and just surged back to the line of scrimmage before he was swallowed up by Kelvin Nelson. Also Diego Bledsoe involved in the stop for the Gators.
Good to see Williams back in the game. Good to see that was, in fact, just a stinger, nothing serious with that left arm, and that he's able to continue on. He's such an exciting player to watch. He's starting to gain some attention from universities around the country for his play this season. So really good to see that wasn't anything serious and that he can keep playing here.
Trips left for the Wolverines as the ball's on the right hash on 3rd down and 8. Williams, he's wrapped, and he is sacked. Jacques Taylor was the first one there, but the second wave of Gateway Gators came in to make the stop, including Diego Bledsoe and Hunter Dow.
Yeah, Gateway is really starting to feast on that offensive line. When you take a look, they just fire through, pin those ears backs, and Jacques Taylor's in there early without really much of a contest. Bledsoe, it's a full party back there. Aiden Smith getting in on the action as well.
I think I'm the only one on this sideline not cramping.
So as you may have heard Rick say there, the Gators having a tough time not cramping up here, as this ball will carry into Gateway territory and the first illegal touch it around the 41-yard line. So it will be Gateway ball at that point. So it'll be 1st and 10 for Gateway at the 41, so decent field position here. And Vince, rewinding to that last offensive drive for Woodland Hills, one thing I noticed that the Wolverines have done is Julian Jeffries has switched his jersey from 16 to 50, and now he's playing on the offensive line at left tackle, and they moved their left tackle over to right guard, did the Wolverines.
Yeah, it's not usually a recipe for success midway through the game, but you've had, some guys, you go down with injuries. You had Ulmer go down. You had, Givner has had a myriad of penalties. He's been, sort of a loss. And then, Taylor, throwing that punch. He got ejected from the game. You have to replace him and find someone else who's able to step in there.
Yeah, I said that Kellen McDonough moved from that left tackle spot to the right guard spot. Now, Kellen McDonough, 6'5", light sophomore, 217 pounds, and he certainly has a test tonight in Jacques Taylor over at that left tackle spot, or Jacques Taylor's right defensive end spot. So McDonough may be better served to play in a phone booth inside, or McDonough rather may be better off playing in the phone booth inside at right guard than he is out there on the island at right tackle. And Jeffries may be a little better served at 6'4", 237 out there against Taylor.
Right, because, at 217, he's given up almost 40 pounds to Taylor. That's a tough matchup, and Taylor, a savvy senior, he's been making plays on both sides of the ball thus far.
Thank you for your support and cooperation as we all work to keep each other safe and healthy.
So it'll be 1st and 10 for the Gateway Gators. The ball on the right hash at their own 41-yard line with 4 minutes and 4 seconds to play in quarter number 3. Gateway on top of Woodland Hills 14-0 in this Big East Conference matchup. Gateway 2-0 on the year, 1-0 within conference play, with a non-conference win against Bethel Park in the second game. Angle K rolling left. It was an option play, and there was nowhere for Angle K to go as he is brought down at the line of scrimmage, and that brings up 2nd down and 10.
See if they go back to the air here at all on this drive. See if Angle K can't get one of those deep balls connected. That was really one of the big themes of the first 2 games of the season. Bodie had 3 long touchdowns. Price had 4. Both of those receivers averaging over 25 yards a catch coming into this game. But the deep ball just has not been there thus far for Gateway for one reason or another.
Angle K in the shotgun wing left. Tail back to his right. Hand off to Davis. Went up the middle, then bounced it out to the right-hand side where he is grabbed by the horse collar and tossed out of bounds by Tariq Scipio. So you're going to tack on some yardage after the run by Davis. And now we have some more talking going on as Bodie getting into it with a couple of Wolverines.
After the play was over, personal foul, defense, late hit, out of bounds.
So there was the horse collar, and then there was the late hit out of bounds. Now, the second part I didn't see because I wanted to look down to see who was the guilty party on the horse collar, and that was Scipio. I was taking a look at our replay here. See Davis running to this near boundary, and he was grabbed up around the horse collar. I guess the call was because Davis was several steps out of bounds while Scipio still pulled him down.
And those are things we've seen both last season and this season from the Wolverines, just an inability to stop themselves from making some of those self-inflicted wounds.
Low snap, Angle K has time, lots of time. Throws to the right-hand side, and the pass is incomplete, looking for Davis down this near boundary.
Oh, not so sure they shouldn't have called that one as well. Scipio again getting a lick in on Davis well after that ball had hit the turf. If I'm the officials, I don't know if I let that slide. It might allow for a little more of that stuff to happen.
And if it doesn't allow that stuff to happen, it leads to retaliation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And while Davis, who's taken the last couple of hits there, has been really good about it, guys like Bodie are starting to get really frustrated with the way the Wolverines are going about some of these things.
Wing left, two receivers left, one to the near side right. Gators setting up the screen to Davis. Davis met by the first wave and then will surge forward inside of the 30 to around the 27. But a flag is down on the field as well, so we'll check in with our official, Wayne Mattis. We'll see if Mattis can right the ship here, calling this penalty.
Holding, White, 61. 10 yards spotted a foul, second down.
I don't think Tristan Lewis was out there, the 5'10", 180-pound junior.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So that means it's either Hunter Dow or more than likely it was probably Dominic Pascarella.
Yeah, where the flag was thrown, it may have been Dow, or like you said, may have been Pascarella. It's either 60 or 71. But either way, it's going to be a loss of 9. And it's now second down and 19 for Gateway with the ball just inside the 40. Angle K looks left, throws left. The pass is complete to Jaden Hurt. Hurt sidesteps a few Wolverines, surges his way inside of the 35 to around the 33.
Nice couple moves there by Hurt to keep that play moving, get back up towards the original marker. So it'll be a 3rd and 12 upcoming, but nice job there, able to make first tackler miss, put a little move there and fall forward for positive yardage.
Trips right, one receiver left. Angle K in the shotgun with the sidecar to his left. Straight drop back for Angle K. Throws to that left-hand side and finds Jaden Hurt again as he is pushed to the boundary by a Wolverine over there. The clock will stop on 4th down and 4 as the Wolverine defender who made the tackle is the injured party.
Looks like that's Gavin Yarborough over there. A couple plays before that, Keyshawn Davis, who saw up and moving on the sidelines again, he went down. So a couple injuries in the defensive backfield. See if that opens up the playbook a little bit. See if they continue to try and test the secondary deep now with a couple guys on the sidelines.
Don't forget next week, Gateway travels down 119 to Connellsville. They'll take on the Falcons, 7 o'clock kickoff, and we will have the coverage for you on the Trib Live High School Sports Network and on our Facebook page. So we hope you will join us for that game as the Gators wrap up the regular season. As Gavin Yarborough was the injured party and was helped to his feet.
Again, several vehicles are blocking in cars that need to move. The vehicles that are in question Red Town and Country.
And what a weird season it's been. Next week will be the 4th game Gateway's played. It'll be their regular season finale. And then it'll be up to the decision of the selection committee. You're going to have Gateway, who's played 4 games. You're going to have teams like Woodland Hills, you know, fingers crossed, there's no COVID cases on their schedule. They end up playing 7 games. It's really an interesting scenario to see who's going to end up in the postseason.
3 receivers bunched to the right-hand side, and we're going to have a false start
Offense,
against Gateway.
5 yards, 4th down.
Now the left tackle was set and then he moved, and that was compounded by the fact that a couple of the receivers over here on the near side right also moved. So instead of 4th down and 4, it's now 4th and 9 for the Gators inside of the Woodland Hills 30. Play action, Engel K pressured, he's wrapped, and he is brought down, and the sack leads to a turnover on downs. And while Gateway got some offense going there, it gets stymied, and DeMonte Gaither's sack leads to a turnover on downs.
Now the Wolverines have done everything they need to do on the defensive side of the ball to keep themselves in this game. It's all going to come down to whether or not they can put some points up on the board on the other side. I mean, you're holding an offense here that had 96 points in 2 games. And so now, you know, we'll see what happens, but really interesting. 16, you know, Engel K just having a tough time of things down there. See if he can bounce back here, but it's just not been his night thus far.
Yeah, he's had a tough time really deciding where to go with the football, second-guessing himself, and that's led to throws that have been off the mark at time, too, as Deontay Williams throws that ball across the middle. The intended receiver was Eshawn Carter. And the ball went beyond Carter and made its way to Tariq Scipio. But neither of them came out of there with the football, and the incomplete pass by Williams leads to 2nd down and 10 for Woodland Hills in this protracted 3rd quarter after Gateway ate up a lot of clock, and the first 24 minutes of action really flew by. This 3rd quarter has certainly taken a lot of time in real time. As Williams is going to throw it deep, he has a receiver wide open where it is caught, and into the end zone goes Tariq Scipio on a 62-yard touchdown pass for Woodland Hills, cuts the Gators' lead down to 8.
And I was looking around, no laundry on the field. That is a beautiful throw. Great job extending the arms there by Scipio and hauling that one in. And we've got a game once again. It took them quite a bit of time, almost, 36 minutes, but Woodland Hills is finally on the board.
So how about that? Scipio got behind the defenders, and he was able to take it all the way to the house. 2-point conversion attempt here for Woodland Hills. Could cut the Gators' lead down to a half dozen as the ball to Williams. He couldn't hang on to it, and he surged his way to the goal line, and he is into the end zone for the 2-point conversion, and that cuts Gateway's lead down to 6 as Deontay Williams was able to make something out of nothing on the broken play on the 2-point conversion. And with 91 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter, we've got ourselves a much closer ball game with the score Gateway 14 and Woodland Hills 8.
And if you're Gateway offensively, you've got to be kicking yourself. You've had so many opportunities to put this one away and execute, and give credit where it's due, though. This defense, Tim Boster's got these guys ready to play, and he's got them in this game. It's a 1-score game here late in the 3rd. And, Rick had talked about how we were trying to establish who had the momentum in this 3rd quarter. Wolverines have just flat out played better so far in this 3rd quarter. They have established themselves as the one with the momentum, and now Gateway's got to do some soul searching for the first time this season and find that next level.
Of course, we know how explosive both of these teams can be. Woodland Hills loaded with experienced talent. Gateway has remarkable talent on their side of the field as well.
And isn't that something? Both of these teams average over 30 points a game, and yet we have a 14-8 ball game late in the third. I don't know about you, but I was expecting a bit more fireworks from the offenses. I mean, there's been some big plays, no doubt, but not a whole lot of scoring.
So Maddie Hildebrand will kick off for Woodland Hills, wearing number 99 for the Woodland Hills Wolverines. And Hildebrand's kick, a bouncer that will bounce through the hands of Shamar Price, but then he will retreat and scoop it up. Sliding through tacklers, lost the football. It's still loose, and
Wolverines have it.
Wolverines covered it up. Bodie couldn't get it, and Woodland Hills does come out of there with the football. And now we have some pushing, some shoving, and Bodie has to get ripped out of there by Derek Davis. And he's getting told, get to the sidelines by one of the officials.
Was a fumble recovered by Woodland Hills.
So it's going to be 1st and 10 for Woodland Hills with the football at the Gateway 35-yard line.
I thought for a second that he may have gotten himself ejected. I thought I had seen the hand motion, but I think they were just reiterating the possession arrow. But Bodie's really got to keep his lid on here. He's had a tough night. You know, he's made some plays. He had the fumble on the punt return. And here, you know, things getting incredibly chippy. Momentum has swung around, and for the first time this season, you've really gotten punched in the mouth by the other team. But, you know, you're an athlete. You're an asset to the team. You've got to keep your head on a swivel here. See what they can do. Ball at the 35 once again. The last time they had the ball here, Williams fumbled it.
Low snap to Williams. He'll hand off, nowhere to go for Siebels as he is met by a wave of white jerseys, including Jock Taylor and Hunter Dow. A loss of 2 brings up 2nd down and 12 for the Woodland Hills Wolverines.
It's gotten quiet over here, Adam.
It sure has. And I'll tell you what, if you're a teammate of Bodie who has stayed out on the field, I hope somebody got in his ear. I think Davis did, actually. After Davis kind of tossed him out of the fray, he had a word with the junior D-back. Flags fly, and a false start against Woodland Hills is going to cost them 5.
Before the snap, false start. Offense, 5 yards, 2nd down.
Just under 44 seconds to play here. And while the momentum was clearly on the far boundary, a loss on 1st down and then a penalty before 2nd down has pushed them back from 1st and 10 at the 35 to 2nd down and 17 from the 42.
Yeah, this is an offense that can make big plays and quickly. We saw that with Scipio's touchdown reception, but they also have a knack for making things harder on themselves than they need to be.
Williams rolls right as he feels pressure, steps up now, retreats. He's wrapped by Bledsoe as he tosses it to that far side right. There was a receiver in the vicinity, so it'll just be an incomplete pass. But the Gators' defensive front is flying around on this set of downs.
They have been the difference maker for the Gators on the defensive side of the ball. The secondary has just been so-so tonight, but that front 7 has just been getting a ton of pressure from the 2nd quarter on.
And look how they stay in their lanes. Dow never overcommitted to heading towards Williams. He kept going to the outside to prevent Williams from bouncing it to the outside and allow Bledsoe to come up and wrap up Williams to prevent him from completing the pass or racing out of there.
Well, you've got a lot of juniors and seniors down there, guys that have seen it, guys that have been coached up for a long time, and it's clearly made a difference.
Timeout. Woodland Hills.
So Woodland Hills calls a timeout. That'll give us an opportunity to send it down the sideline. Rick McIntyre, what's the feel on that sideline where the first time this season the Gators have their backs up towards the wall a bit?
Yeah, after the turnover there and a couple bad plays, you could see the sideline kind of falling down. You know, they're not, like you said, it's the first time they've seen this year, so they're maybe not used to how, you know, not really equipped to know how to react to that. But quickly within a couple plays, all the position coaches, you know, they manage the sideline really well, and everybody's into the game, encouraging, you know, their fellow players on the field. And they still seem pretty sharp and focused and ready to keep playing.
Rick, what's remarkable to me is the way the defensive front has put this drive on their shoulders. I think that they have been the difference maker in trying to stem the tide that was in favor of the Wolverines.
Absolutely. Like you said it well in that last play. They are getting at it. They're coming out flying off the ball, getting good penetration and playing good disciplined defense. And once you get through that line of scrimmage, they're not letting that quarterback get to the outside, not letting him get that big scramble play for a splash play.
Well, let's see what the Gators are able to do defensively here on 3rd down and 17 for the Wolverines. The ball at the Gateway 42-yard line. Woodland Hills is going to split one receiver to the near side left and trips to the wide side right. Williams is in the shotgun. Low snap. Looks right. Has an outlet over there to the right-hand side. Instead, is going to throw it deeper down that far boundary. And a diving catch is made over there on that far sideline by Gavin Yarborough. And instead of 3rd down and 17, now it's going to be a 4th and much more manageable, about 7, maybe 6 from the 31 with the line to gain at the 25.
Yeah, that again, it's not bad for a team like the Wolverines that plays 4-down football really most of the time when they're in the opponent's territory. They're not a field goal kicking team, so it's, part of that attitude, part of that mindset, and kind of takes a little pressure off, a little stress off on 3rd down, knowing that, hey, we don't have to get all of it, especially in a 3rd and 17 situation.
So it's now 4th down and 6 for Woodland Hills with the line to gain the 25.
Broken
Williams
play.
pressured, rolling left, throwing left, and the pass is intercepted by Bodie. Bodie with the INT at the 10-yard line. And Bodie, who got involved with some post-play words, makes a big play there, his 2nd big play of the game.
Yeah, that's a way to make up for a couple of those blunders earlier, turning them over there. Now they're going to be deep within their own territory, but they bend and don't break. They're still in the lead. And tell you what, Adam, we got 12 more minutes of this one, and this has turned out to be quite a dandy between the 2nd best and 4th best teams in the Trib Live High School Sports Rankings.
And what was remarkable there to me is, certainly probably better off for the Gateway offense if Bodie slaps that one to the ground and it's a turnover on downs. But there's something to be said for the momentum that comes off of the takeaway.
Oh, absolutely, and especially for Bodie. We saw he was really starting to struggle mentally, some adversity coming his way. Davis had to rip him out of a fray. Now he gets a little bit of good momentum going. Teammates get a chance to feed off of that. He's rejuvenated. He's back into it. Hopefully that can be a snowball effect for the Gators as they head into the 4th quarter.
And you've got to wonder, if you're Don Hall right now, do you go to Patrick Bodie? Do you give him an opportunity to get his hands on the football? We saw what he could do in game number 1 against Franklin Regional, and even more remarkably, the way he played against Bethel Park. And then that shown even brighter here today with his touchdown and then that INT.
I would really like to see them go with a reverse. They've had a lot of success on those plays tonight. The Wolverines have not stayed in their lanes on those plays. I think that'd be a great opportunity to catch this Wolverines defense off guard, straight off of a turnover, right after a quarter break.
And you may have heard Rick McIntyre there say Patrick Bodie did take a pretty good shot after that INT, and they're taking a look at his shoulder, so he may not be immediately available for that play that I was talking about. But like you said, the reverse is something that we've seen the Gators do today. We saw the reverse pass lead to a touchdown on the pass to Bodie. We've seen an end-around work well for Gateway today, and really what's been remarkable is the way the Gators were able to, at least in the first half, run those screens to Derek Davis.
Yeah, that's sort of dried up here in the second half. The Wolverines have really bit on that, so maybe a fake and go deep or try something a little bit different, or maybe just try to get Davis the ball and keep committing to trying to get the ball north to south. But if you're the Gators, you'd really feel a lot more comfortable if you're able to come away with some points here on this drive, make it a two-possession game, and use a lot of clock. I mean, 12 minutes can go fast if you run the ball well, so I think they might try to go to the ground here.
Yeah, that was something we saw the Gators do in the first quarter, and more especially in the second quarter, was eat up a ton of clock, especially through the first 8 to 10 minutes of that second quarter before they were 3 and out on their last offensive possession. So the Gators go straight from the sideline to the line of scrimmage as we begin the fourth quarter. It's 14-8, Gateway on top of Woody High. The momentum was clearly on the side of Woodland Hills, but a big defensive stand from the Gateway Gators after the Gators fumbled it on the kickoff Return may have moved the momentum back to the near sideline, but Shamar Price is going to be guilty of a false start.
On the offense. 5 yards, first down.
We've seen this a couple times today from the Gators, especially from their wide receivers. And I don't know if, because Angle K and the center are in a circumstance where it's just when the center's ready to snap the football, if these receivers may just want to get out there a little bit faster.
Yeah, but it's inexcusable. If you're a receiver, you're taught just look down the line of scrimmage. You don't even really need to know what the count is. Just don't move until the ball moves.
Handoff to Davis, running left, cutting it back right, into the next level as he carries it out towards the 20. He'll be brought down at the 18-yard line, and a pickup on that play of about 6 yards brings up second down and 14.
Well, that is vintage Derek Davis there, stopping on a dime, seeing an avenue, cutting back, and being elusive and hard to bring down to the turf. That was a great run and really promising. Hopefully they can keep that up here.
Davis pitches. Price running right to left. He'll pick up the first down. And while the Gators did run, Davis with the pitch to Price, and it was a first down, it wasn't that big play we had hoped for coming out of the reverse.
Yeah, I mean, they dialed it up. That was what we wanted to see up here. But, you got the first down. You keep the chains moving. You keep the clock moving. All of those are positives. So a good outcome there nonetheless.
Brandon Jones, the freshman, with a nice open field tackle for the Woodland Hills Wolverines. Jones has been all over the field, and for a freshman, he really makes an impact for Woody High. An opportunity to see him run the football a little bit against Penn Trafford, as well as play on the linebacker's spot. Davis running left, eating up chunks of yards on his 2 carries here in the fourth quarter. That one about a dozen from the 26 out towards the 38.
Yeah, I like this strategy. When push comes to shove, you're in the trenches. You go to the guy that has the experience. You go to the guy that has over 3,000 yards rushing. You call his number. You put the game in his hands because more often than not, he's going to come away with it and good things are going to happen.
Wing to the left. Angle K hands off. Davis has another crease. He'll drive his way out towards the 40. And while there was a big hole there, it closed up quickly as DeMonte Gaither was able to make the stop after a gain of just 2. A nice job by Gaither to shed the blocker and get involved in that tackle. Coming from behind as well was Michael James at the end for the Wolverines.
I know during the Penn Trafford game for Woodland Hills, Coach Tim Boster talked a lot about missed tackles and leaving opportunities out. Talked about last season, and a lot of that was a 3-7 team, but they lost 4 games by very narrow margins, largely because of missed tackles. 2
receivers right, one to the near side left as the handoff goes to Davis. He slides through traffic, still on his feet, into Woodland Hills territory, finally brought down inside of the 45 at the 44-yard line.
This is Davis just starting to take over here. I mean, this is exactly, why he is such a highly touted Division I recruit, because he just is a game changer. He can single-handedly take over and influence the outcome of a contest.
So Davis needs a breather. So in comes Kelvin Nelson. 6 foot, 245-pound nose tackle and tailback.
Hey, he looked great getting some red zone carries early in the first half.
And Nelson will get the carry here, running to his left-hand side, runs over a Wolverine and is brought down at the 40-yard line. So a pickup of 4, and if you get 4 and first down, it's a win.
That's absolutely right. And, even just watching the way he carries that ball and the way he puts his weight forward, you feel comfortable with him having the ball there. It would be nice to maybe have both hands on it in this kind of situation late in the game, but, he is a big, sturdy workhorse back that you can lean on if Davis needs a few snaps.
2 receivers right, one to the near side left. Low snap, Angle K picks it up, rolls to his right, directs traffic and throws to that right-hand side. He was looking for Malachi Moore, and the pass is incomplete. That brings up 3rd down and a half dozen.
Well, that was a smart decision there by Angle K. Throw that one into the dirt, live to fight another day, don't take the sack. That was a savvy play by a veteran quarterback. So kind of what you want to do there, because even if you get it into Malachi's hands, I don't know that he's able to do anything with it.
So it's 3rd and 6 here with the clock stopped and 8:15 to play in the 4th quarter. This drive was rolling for the Gators, but has stalled after a nice pickup on 1st down by Kelvin Nelson. The incomplete pass brings up 3rd and 6. And flags fly. No, there's going to be a timeout for Gateway before the flags do fly. And Gateway taking a timeout here. They're going to talk things over on this 3rd down and 6 play.
Yeah, that was smart. You had a little bit of confusion. The last thing you need is an errant snap or an opportunity for things to go haywire. You've gotten a bit of momentum back. Things are going your way. And you've got a 3rd and manageable with Davis back in the backfield, so you give him a few more seconds to get a little more air, get his wheels back under him after really being a workhorse on this drive. And if I'm Gateway, I think I run either another one of those screen passes or I just pitch it out wide to him, put him in space, and again, try to get him to put this game away.
Talked about Woodland Hills with an opportunity to play all 7 of their games this season. They started off the year with a big 40-point win against Connellsville at home, then rejuvenated the old rivalry against Penn Hills and got the non-conference win against the Penn Hills Indians before taking on the North Hills Indians and a pair of wins there. Then on the road to Penn Trafford, their lone loss of the season before defeating Franklin Regional last week, and now hosting Gateway today before wrapping up the regular season next week at Latrobe. So it's 3rd down and 6 here for Gateway as they come off of the timeout. Guess there's a TV timeout to go along with it. And that is one of the drawbacks of this game, not just being here on the Trib Live High School Sports Network, but also on a commercial TV station as well, as things go a little bit slower.
Tell you what, though, for all the coverage this game has gotten, it's lived up to the hype.
And you know what? Coming into the game, there were a lot of folks, in the press box talking about not expecting that with the way Gateway blew through their first 2 opponents. They didn't know if Woodland Hills was for real, as they got wins against teams that haven't proven themselves lately. But so far, Woodland Hills has lived up to their hype thus far. And Gateway looking to get things back on track for them. As Engelke was pressured, he tossed it over to Price's feet. And Price was looking right the whole way, or rather Engelke was looking right the whole way, but had receivers open here to the near side left. And Davis also over here with an opportunity to maybe catch a football was Jaden Hurt.
Yeah, and he wanted the ball. You could see his body language. And now this brings up a super interesting 4th down. You get it here, you have an opportunity to drive that clock down even more, and you really take a foothold of this game. But if you don't get it, you're giving the ball back to Woodland Hills with a short field to go.
Engelke in the shotgun. He's going to hand off. Davis running left, cutting it back to the right. He's got the 1st down. He's inside of the 30. And the Gators go to the ground on 4th and 6. And their best player, Derek Davis, makes it happen.
Yeah, I mean, again, you put all the chips on the table with that guy, and you know that the outcome is really going to end up in your favor way more often than not. Looks like he took a bit of a shot there at the end. Hopefully it's nothing major, because they're going to need him here. This work is not done yet.
Kelvin Nelson is the tailback now as the Gators run the option to the right, and it's Engelke surging his way forward inside of the 25 to around the 23-yard line, so a pickup of 5 brings up 2nd down and 5.
So they've got Nelson back in there at the tailback position. See if Davis is able to shake off taking a shot there at the end of that one. He was holding aside for a few seconds.
Two receivers left, one to the short side right. Engelke in the shotgun. Hands off. Nelson, gaping hole, still on his feet, spinning his way to the goal line. It's a Gateway touchdown of 23 yards.
Wow, what a way for the big fella to keep his balance at the end. He was walking the tightrope, spun around, and had the awareness to dive into the end zone. And those are game-winning plays, championship-winning plays, and you see that championship pedigree on display here once again late in the game for the Gators.
Look at this hole for Nelson, and he took advantage and showed some wheels as well. A little stiff arm, some nifty footwork as he spun his way to the goal line for a Gateway TD.
Jacques Taylor sealing that one off. Great execution.
And the PAT is up and in for Jason Jenkins. And Gateway has extended their lead to 13 points, 21-8. And Kelvin Nelson, 6 feet, 245 pounds. And if you're from the Pittsburgh area and you see a fella that size running the football with that kind of footwork and that kind of speed, he kind of reminds you of Jerome Bettis.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Great downhill runner. He's going to bring all that force with him and make you meet him at that point of contact. And he's going to win those battles more often than not, because not only does he have that size, but he has that speed as well, and that combination is lethal.
Send it down to the sideline. Rick McIntyre, I'll tell you what, you got to love to see the big fella be able to run the ball with that kind of speed.
Oh, that was something special, Adam. I'll tell you what, I would not, as if I was still in shape. That's great. Actually reminded Woodland Hills.
Uh-oh, we're losing your mic there.
You got me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we do.
Kind of.
Uh-oh, we lost you. I think you're trying to say Wayne Anderson, right?
That's exactly. It was Wayne the Train.
Yeah, I kind of figured that's where you were going with that one. Wayne Anderson, who played nose tackle for Woodland Hills back in the early days of Woody High on this field, also played running back for the Wolverines and went on to the University of Akron, where he had a very good career as a defensive tackle. I think I spotted him over there on that Woodland Hills sideline. I know he was a member of the coaching staff last season. I think he still is over there on that far boundary, coaching up the defensive front.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You got a guy like that can do so much. And Gateway in general has such a combination of size and speed. We've talked numerous times throughout the season about their receivers compared to other teams, guys that are between 6'2 to 6'5 that still have a good bit of meat on the bones. This is a team that is built to win and win now. And, they've gotten quite the test here tonight, but they've put themselves in the position to win here. But this Woodland Hills offense, we saw them with a big play early in this second half. They can score quickly. This game's not over yet.
Absolutely, and that's what Gateway's defense needs to be cognizant of, is the big play ability of the Woodland Hills Wolverines, and they showed it on their touchdown today. Booming kick will carry inside of the 5, where Armani Bailey will be on the return for Woodland Hills. Had a gap, then will be brought down as he crosses the 30 out to around the 35-yard line.
That's
pushing
exactly
and shoving
it.
After the play again, as some Wolverines started pushing Gators away from the pile. Sorry, Vince, go ahead.
No. A lot of extracurriculars tonight, throwing everyone off their game a little bit. But my goodness, I mean, you even see there with Bailey, he's able to find a crease. And, he was very close to breaking that one open for a major gain. Even as it is, they've got the ball now up at the 35-yard line with still ample time, 6:59 left in this one. See if they try to do any naked boot, quarterback sneaks, anything like that, or if they just try to gun this one out and go to the air here late.
So the Wolverines send trips to the right. One receiver to the far boundary left. Williams in the shotgun, straight drop back. Throws it to the near side, and the pass is knocked to the turf on the coverage. Bonzi Parks for Gateway.
Yeah, that one was a dangerous one. Parks almost able to extend and get both hands on that one. Take another look at the replay. Got a good ball out there, just not enough lift on it there for his receiver to be able to make a play on it there. Amari Daniels, the intended target.
So again, the Wolverines are going to send trips to the right and one receiver left. This time Williams is in the pistol. Low snap, and he's going to hand it off. And Siebels, nowhere for him to go, as Aiden Smith in on the tackle. Also, Jacques Taylor.
Well, you move forward a little bit, make it third and a little more manageable. As you can imagine, this is 4-down territory the rest of the way for the Wolverines, so you've still got a lot to work with, but that clock's going to keep moving. Anytime you go to the ground or you get tackled inbounds whatsoever, time is definitely a factor now.
Straight drop back for Williams. He's wrapped, he's sacked, sliding through traffic, and making the sack is Jacques Taylor.
The more that I see Taylor play, the more I really do think he's the heart of this defense. He is always there to make a big play when needed. He has a good pulse on keeping guys out of trouble, being vocal down there on the field, and you can tell that his teammates really feed off of him in the way that he plays the game, and he is a big-time difference maker.
21-8 your score, 5:33 to play here in the fourth quarter.
Would not surprise me whatsoever to see a fake here. We have a little laundry on the field.
Looks like a delay of game against Woody High.
Before the flag was thrown, timeout, Gateway.
So Gateway calls a timeout before the delay of game against Woodland Hills. Help support the 2020 Gateway Gators by participating in the online 50/50 raffle. Download the Raffles Now app and search Gateway Football Boosters. The winner will be picked after the game, and winners will be notified via email as well as within the app. Also, just a few days left to order your Moe's Taco Kit. Link to the order can be found on the Gateway Football Boosters Facebook page. Make sure you check that out and get one of those great Moe's Taco Kits. I know that we got one at home for one of the Gateway schools, and it was a great meal, and the whole family enjoyed it. So get one from the Gateway Football Boosters as well. Also, if you have the opportunity, or if you had the opportunity today, we hope you made your way out to the Milkshake Factory in Murraysville as they were raising funds for the Gateway Football Boosters as well.
Now, Adam, it would not surprise me. We are very well aware that last season Woodland Hills ran the fake punt more than just about any other team in the WPIAL. I would not be shocked whatsoever to see them back there with Williams try to catch the Gators off guard here. 4th and 17. I mean, the clock is such a factor. You've got to keep moving the ball forward. I don't know that you can give it back to Gateway with Davis without fearing that they're going to run out the rest of this clock.
I don't know if the scoreboard is accurate on 4th and 17, more like 4th and about 13, as the line to gain is the 45-yard line and the ball is placed at the 32. So a 5-yard discrepancy there. But like you said, fake punt is always an option, especially at Woody High. I even remember, back in my day of playing for the Wolverines, there was a WPIAL semifinals at North Allegheny. We ran a fake punt on 3rd down, picked up about, it was probably like 3rd down and 30. And we picked up 15 on 3rd down on a fake punt, and then fake punted again and picked up the 1st down. George Novak was pulling out all the stops that day. Of course, future Akron Zip, Brandon Payne was our punter. So, with Smoke back there punting and Division I running back doing your punting, kind of makes sense to try to do that every now and then. Williams thought about running with it, but instead will boot it away, as this one will take a bounce in favor of the Wolverines and head to that far sideline inside of the 20 to the 19. And one thing of note, Malachi Moore was back there to return that punt for Gateway, not Patrick Bodie.
Bodie has been so good in so many facets of the game. Has a touchdown tonight, has played incredibly well throughout the season, had the big pick here in the 3rd quarter, but he's just not had the results, and he's had a couple drops. It's been an ongoing thing, so going with the sophomore back there, see if he can't make something happen, because Bodie just wasn't getting it done.
So Gateway, as usual, goes from the sideline to the line of scrimmage. 1st and 10 with the ball at their own 19. Opportunity here to put this football game away with some points. or taking a lot of time off the clock. Two receivers right, two to the left. Handoff Davis. A lot of room over there on that right-hand side as he is brought down by Keyshawn Davis.
Well, might have had something to do with Bledsoe being a little confused. You see he's a little slow to get off the ball. Looks like he may have potentially missed an assignment as he and Pasquarella went to block the same guy.
Also saw Desmond Jackson, linebacker, get involved in that tackle for Woody High. Again, two receivers right as Engelke is going to hand off to Davis, running left, then cutting it back to the right-hand side. Bouncing off of tacklers as he drives his way out to the 24-yard line for a pickup of 5, bringing up a third and manageable 5.
A big third down here for the Wolverines. If you can get a 3 and out, you still have some time. If you're able to get the ball downfield quickly, you can still have some hope in this one, but another first down or 2 by the Gators will just about do this one. We'll see what the play call is here, if they decide to keep it on the ground or if they want to try and test it through the air to try and salt this one away and see if the Wolverines are able to come up with a big stop.
Well, we saw Gateway on their last drive on 4th and a half dozen go to the ground. It's 3rd and 5 here. Will they do the same? Play action. Engelke throws right to Bodie. And Bodie is going to be brought down for a 4-yard loss at the 20-yard line, and Tim Bostard uses a timeout here. So not a lot of clock killed on that drive for Gateway, and they're going to have to punt it away on 4th and 9 from their own 20.
Yeah, I mean, that's about as picture perfect as it could get for the Wolverines. You come out, get a 3 and out. You keep the ball out of Davis's hand for the most part. Now you give yourself a chance. If you're able to get a quick score, you're still in this one.
So Gateway here getting some instruction from Don Hall, 5th-year head coach of the Gateway Gators. He has led the Gators to 2 WPIAL championships in 2019. And in 2017, the Gators fell in the WPIAL semifinals in 2018.
And he's done a tremendous job in his time here with Gateway thus far. I mean, the record of 47-11 speaks for itself, but 2 championships along the way. They've done everything but bring home a state title. And I know Davis talked heavily in the Post-Gazette articles he was featured in that's really the goal. That's the mission for this team.
High snap, but it's gathered in, and Jason Jenkins gets a nice punt away that will carry into Woodland Hills territory and be down at the 44-yard line. So a punt of about 36 yards there, all net. The flag is down near the line of scrimmage as well. We'll have to check in with our referee to see what this penalty is about.
Well, pending the penalty, you know, Woodland Hills is set to have the opportunity here with the ball close to midfield to really capitalize and push it down. Looks like they're pointing that it might be against the Wolverines.
Let's check in with our referee, Wayne Mattis, see what this is.
Personal foul. 15 white. Penalty be enforced at the end of the kick.
So that foul goes against Yusuf Mendoza. Now they said 15. It may have been 5 because Jaden Hurt got yelled at from the sideline and he was pleading his case to the coaches. And we certainly haven't seen Wayne Mattis get a lot of those numbers right, especially in the personal foul category tonight.
He's having a tough time. But my goodness, I mean, the Wolverines, this could not work out any better for you. You get the 3 and out, and you get the ball back with only losing a net of about 20 yards. And you're setting up shop right outside the 40.
Low snap, Williams. It was a designed pass, but instead he has to run with it and picks up positive yardage inside of the 40 to around the 39-yard line. And a Gator is slow to get to his feet, and that's Jock Taylor, and that's not good news if this is a protracted absence for that defensive end and offensive tackle.
You see him at the top of your screen there. Not sure exactly what happened. It looked like a pretty standard, form tackle there, grabbing the ankles of Williams.
The athletic training staff out there to take a look at Taylor. This will give us an opportunity to send it down to the sideline. Rick McIntyre. We saw the Gators with an opportunity there to try to salt this football game away, but they couldn't come out of there with it.
Yeah, even, if you've seen in the last couple drives there, Derek Davis is kind of going out to that 5-hole, and that cutback has been there every time he's gone to it until that last, second down. He went for that cutback, thought it was going to be there, maybe went to the well once too often. They were able to shut down Davis, and then just Gateway just couldn't get anything going on that. Really gave a little bit of that momentum back to the far sideline.
Well, Rick, you were prowling the sidelines for games 1 and 2 of this season, and certainly it's probably a different story here for the third game for the Gators on this near boundary. So we'll get to that momentarily as Williams is wrapped and he is brought down and the ball came loose, but they will say he is down. How about the big fella scooping up the football? Julius Brown, 6 foot, 308 pounds, scooped up the ball and he tried to race off with it. But they'll say that Williams was brought down in the backfield by Kelvin Nelson. But
he had some wheels.
He sure did. Rick, let's send it back down to you. What's the atmosphere like on that sideline in comparison to what it was like in games 1 and 2?
To be honest with you, Adam, it's really not much different. Everybody's, in the games 1 and 2, the kids on the sidelines they're respectful, they're positive, but they're maintaining perspective. During all throughout the game here, even when things were kind of getting down and looking a little bit not going in Gateway's favor, they're keeping their heads up, they're staying involved in the game and really being just focused through the entire game.
Thanks a lot, Rick. As Williams, straight drop back, was looking deep. He's pressured, he throws, and the pass is complete. A sliding catch by Armani Bailey at the 25-yard line. Bailey sagged in front of a Gateway defensive back, sprung open, and a nice job by Williams after the pass looked like the play looked like it had broken down. Deontay Williams scrambled to his left and made something out of nothing.
Yeah, Bailey has really stepped his game up from last season to this season, coming back to the ball, having that awareness. Looks like him and Williams really have developed some nice chemistry.
A nice job there by Williams to set his feet and not try to just heave-ho it down the field as Williams is pressured. Now he steps out of pressure, runs towards the goal line. He's shoulder chucked in, will take it into the end zone for a 26-yard Woodland Hills touchdown. And all of a sudden, it's a 7-point game.
Don't go anywhere, folks. The clock was starting to wind down. It was looking unlikely that they were going to be able to get 2 scores here. But you know what? They get it in quickly. A big play by Williams. And all of a sudden, 2 minutes to work with. If they're able to execute an onside kick, that's an eternity. There's still a lot of time left in this one. And my goodness, what a great game we've been able to watch here tonight.
Now, we know that Woodland Hills hasn't kicked a lot of PATs this year. In fact, from what I've seen of them, they only attempted 1 against Penn Trafford, and that one broke down. Hildebrand didn't even get an opportunity to kick the football. So the Wolverines here again are going to try the 2-point conversion. They were able to score on it the first time. Low snap slides through the hands of Williams. He has to retreat, and the ball will be caught at the goal line, and the 2-point conversion is good for Woodland Hills. Armani Bailey catching that one. And all of a sudden, we've got ourselves a 5-point ball game, 21-16.
Yeah, it looked like the secondary kind of fell asleep as that play broke down. They all came rushing upfield, I think thinking that Williams was going to try and run with it. Bailey just kind of snuck in there between everyone, and Williams, again, credit. He didn't get the feet set well on that one, but he was able to just sort of will that one forward, and Bailey makes the play.
Tell you what, I didn't have an opportunity to see a lot of Woodland Hills football over the past couple of weeks, but I did watch some of their games anticipating this game. And the way that Deontay Williams has played today versus the way he played against Penn Trafford is remarkable. He's much more controlled. He's reading defenses a bit. He's not just trying to throw the ball down the field, and he's not trying to make it all happen himself. He's relying on his receivers to make plays and help him out. He's not just trying to throw the ball or just run with it.
Yeah, you're seeing growth from him in real time here on the field, and it's impressive and exciting to watch, especially if you're a Woodland Hills fan. You know, yeah, he had, 4 or 5 turnovers against Penn Trafford here tonight. He did have the fumble where a play broke down, but for the most part, he's really made smart decisions. Did have that one interception to Bodie, but you know, he has had to try and will the ball into some tight windows and make plays against a tough Gateway defense.
A lot of credit has to go to Deontay Williams.
Absolutely.
On that last drive, not just for his touchdown run, for him being able to complete the 2-point conversion pass. Gateway going to use a timeout here as Deontay Williams was out there. He was going to kick the onside kick. That kid does everything for Woodland Hills.
He's the punter, he's the quarterback, he's out there on defense. I mean, he really does all of it.
Third and final timeout called by the Gators.
Gateway looking to stay undefeated, but right now it's a 1-score ball game as the Woodland Hills Wolverines have cut the Gateway Gators lead down to 21-16.
And Adam, you know, this is, you know, there's no guarantees, you know, hypothetically, if Woodland Hills is able to do the improbable here. You know, if Gateway finishes 3-1 or God forbid 2-2, you know, 2-2 would almost be a death sentence, but 3-1, there's no guarantee that they're going to make the playoffs. So this is a playoff top type environment. They've got to be thinking that way here because their postseason hopes could be on the line.
You know, you've got to think, Vince, that's probably the case if Woodland Hills wins this football game somehow. Gateway finishing 3-1, and Woodland Hills with just 1 loss would probably get the 2nd spot out of this conference.
Absolutely, absolutely. Only 4 teams making it in. You know, there's not any margin for error. So both of these teams really playing for their season right here.
Deontay Williams pooches the kick, and it's caught by a member of the hands team out near midfield.
Covered by 6 Harden Gage. Gateway will take over 1st and 10 at their own 48.
So Gateway luckily was able to get that football.
Yeah, good job by the hands team. Sometimes it can be a little unnerving. I mean, you got a lot of bodies flying at you quickly, and you've got to secure that ball. Luckily, you know, able to scoop that one quickly. And the smart thing is getting to the turf and not trying to make anything of it, but just falling on that ball and allowing your offense to take over near midfield.
Long delay here before Gateway brings their offense out onto the field. Angle K takes the knee.
Snap back to Angle K, and he'll take the knee.
And Woodland Hills will take a timeout.
Timeout. Woodland Hills. That is their third and final timeout.
So 1:48 to play here in the 4th quarter.
1:48 remaining in regulation.
I'm trying to do the math, how much time they'll have left, if any. I'm not so sure that there's much Woodland Hills can do at this point.
Second and 15.
So it's 2nd down and 15 for Gateway. And a flag flies. It comes from the umpire. It's going to be a false start against Woodland Hill, or rather against Gateway, and that's going to cost them 5 yards.
They put a few seconds back on the clock that trickled off after the timeout was called. So 151 total left here and another stoppage.
Clock operator, please place 1:53 on the game clock.
Now they had two
Thank
more
you.
seconds on.
Flags fly before the snap.
I think it may have been Woodland Hills this time. It's
Gators point to the Wolverines. The Wolverines point to the
yeah,
Gators.
it's hard to tell.
Derek Davis confident it was against Woody High. We'll check in with our official, Wayne Mattis.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense, 5 yards. Second down.
Will play the 5-yard forward.
This has become a little anticlimactic for the last 90 seconds or so as we keep marching the ball 5 yards forward, 5 yards backwards.
Angle K going to hand off. Davis running to the right-hand side. He's wrapped by Armani Bailey and pushed to the sideline, but they say his forward progress was stopped inbound, so that doesn't stop the clock.
Down inbound. Credit 50.
So the clock will wind here.
Throw on the stop.
So the clock is winding to 1:27, even though it doesn't show that on the screen here. Connection between our scoreboard and the truck has been lost, but the clock, like I said, winding down to 1:15.
They're lucky they stopped that with forward progress because Davis did get pushed out of bounds. You know, he was continuing to fight on that play. Honestly, kind of just want to see him go down. And now we see a lot of confusion. There'll be a delay of game penalty.
So a delay of game against Gateway pushes the Gators back a handful of yards. So there's 57 seconds on the clock.
1 minute on the game clock. Thank you.
Now the official asks for 1 minute to be placed on the game clock. So after Wayne Mattis asked for 1 minute on the clock, he now chops in the play clock. Gateway faces a 3rd down and 20 here.
Gators coaching staff was not super thrilled about more time being put on the clock. They let the officials know, and the officials promptly barked back at them.
Low snap, Angle K hands off. Davis gets to the line of scrimmage and no further as he is brought down by Jeffries.
Well, mission accomplished. If you're the Wolverines, you'll get the ball back, but it's going to come down to a Hail Mary. The clock is going to dip down under probably 20 seconds by the time that there's a delay of game penalty here. So we'll see. They still have a chance, though. My goodness, I don't think a lot of people expected this game to be quite as close as it was. Woodland Hills has been putting together quite an impressive season after finishing just 3-7 last year. 4-1 as it stands right now. Gateway hasn't played in 3 weeks, but now they have the opportunity to try and escape the Wolverena with a big conference win. And like we talked about, this is likely a de facto playoff game for both of these teams.
Especially for Woodland Hills because, you know, this is a game where if they win, you know, they probably solidify a playoff spot. And if they lose, they could very well lose a playoff spot.
Yeah, it's hard to make that case, you know, especially if Gateway and Penn Trafford finish out with wins because, you know, your Woodland Hills, you have losses to the top 2 teams in the conference record-wise. So it's hard to make a case when there's only 4 teams in total that are making it in.
Well, with the PIAA having playoffs, there will be 8 teams that will make the playoffs. So there will be 2 wild card teams, and you've got to wonder, does Woodland Hills get one of those 2 wild card teams? As again, the officials try to sort out the clock situation here. There's 15 seconds to go and a 5-point lead for the Gateway Gators. Jenkins gets the booming punt away. Trying to keep it away from the Woodland Hills return man. It's scooped up. Running right. Now coming to the near boundary. And if he doesn't get out of bounds, he will be tackled on the near boundary inside of the 40 at around the 37-yard line. And, you know, he wasted the entire 15 seconds that were left, did the return man for the Woodland Hills Wolverines.
And to add insult to injury, it looked like there was a block on the back against the Wolverines.
Now there was a block in the back. And then add to that, I think there was a penalty after the play was over. We'll check in with Wayne Mattis one final time. He certainly had a lot of face time today.
On the play, both by the receiving team, both fouls, decline. That's the ball game.
Nice job, Don Hall. That'll do it. Gateway defeats Woodland Hills 21-16 to stay perfect, 3-0. Gateway, their traditional wave, greeting the Woodland Hills Wolverines. Now they will shake some hands. I'll tell you what, this is certainly a rivalry that is great to be reinvigorated between these two teams. It was chippy at times, and it started when the teams came out of the locker room. But
it did.
To be honest with you, it was still a great football team between one team that we knew who they were and one team who proved who they were in the Woodland Hills Wolverines.
Yeah, you know, this game is almost more about them than it is Gateway surviving with a big-time win that pushes them closer to a playoff berth. You know, Woodland Hills had such a hard time last year executing, and they struggled, you know, in games that they arguably should have and could have won, but just mistakes down the line and the inability to find consistent playmakers. But Deontay Williams has taken that next step. Amari Bailey has taken another step forward. And my goodness, what a performance from that defense tonight. To hold this Gateway offense that was averaging 48 points a game to less than half of that, just 3 scores, that's a tremendous, tremendous performance by this defense.
Before Rick makes his way back up here into the stands, we want to send it down to the sidelines. Your final thoughts on today's football game where Woodland Hills represented themselves well, but Gateway still got the win.
Well, you know, Adam, anytime I'm allowed out of the house, I'm in a good mood. It's a good night, and I've certainly been looking forward to seeing some Gateway football again. So just to see them back on the field, you know, after everything that the high school and everybody's been through for the last 2 weeks, it's been a pleasure to watch them play. To come out and play an altogether a pretty clean game. You know, like you said, it did get chippy, but I was real proud of the Gateway kids that they maintained their composure throughout most of it, and were able to hold on to a more narrow lead than maybe we wanted to be comfortable with. But hats off to the Gators tonight.
Well, spoken like a true school board member.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Rick, for joining us down on the sidelines. We'll talk to you again next week from Connellsville. Well, Vince, you know, when we take a look at this football game, a lot of people expected Gateway to just blow the Wolverines out, and they didn't do that. There was clearly an issue with some rust for Gateway. They got their legs under them in the second quarter. It seemed like once Gateway scored in the second half and made it 21-8 that the Gators were going to be able to control this football game. But all of a sudden, Woodland Hills got a score from Deontay Williams, and we had ourselves a ball game again, and the Gators had to hold on. Yeah,
but, you know, I'll double down on what Rick said. The composure of the Gateway Gators was big tonight. When they needed to step up and make a play, they did. Bodie's interception was huge in the second half. That drive early in the fourth quarter where they were able to wind down that clock, Davis was able to take them down the field, and then Nelson coming in, the backup, and running for the 23-yard touchdown, just incredible. They made the plays that they needed to. They played championship football in the moments that they absolutely needed to, and they avoided making those big penalties and those personal fouls, and they did. They made those little adjustments that helped them get across the finish line and stay unblemished.
Well, like you said, unblemished is the thing that Woodland Hills, or rather that Gateway needed to do today more than anything, and they got that win, a 5-point win, 21-16. Your final thoughts before we wrap it up?
This will be a big test moving forward, and it might actually be a positive for Gateway. They were in a game, they were in a dogfight, they had to respond to adversity, they had to respond to a team literally getting up in their face and even throwing a few punches. So moving forward, you know, I think one of the worries might have been this team wouldn't be battle-tested going into the playoffs to face a Penn Trafford, to face a Pine Richland, but they had a dogfight here tonight, and I think that bodes well for them moving forward.
Well, that'll do it for our coverage of the Gateway Gators at the Wolverena tonight. Gateway gets the win 21-16. For my broadcast partner, Vince Russo, our field reporter, Rick McIntyre, and our entire crew, including our camera operators, Lee Schaefer III, Lee Schaefer Jr., Joe Slick, and down in the truck we had Eric Schuley, our producer and director, Larry George, and Allison Gusky running the replays for us. For our entire crew, we'll talk to you again next week as Gateway travels down to Connellsville to wrap up the regular season against the Falcons. We'll talk to you then, everybody.